早晨，歡迎各位透過網上直播參加消費者委員會選擇月刊第550期嘅新聞發佈會。今日為我哋主持發佈會嘅有消委會研究及試驗小組主席譚鳳儀教授同埋總幹事黃鳳嫻女士。今日嘅發佈會會首先以廣東話進行，跟住係到英文嘅摘要，然後就到提問嘅環節。Good morning. Thank you for joining the Consumer Council's press conference for Choice Magazine issue number 550. Hosting today's press conference are Professor Nora Tan Fung Yee, Chairman of the Research and Testing Committee of the Consumer Council, as well as Ms. Gilly Wong, Chief Executive of the Consumer Council. Today's press conference will first be conducted in Cantonese, followed by an English synopsis, and then a Q&A session. 咁我而家將時間就交俾譚教授。譚教授唔該。
好，早晨，大家好。再次歡迎各位傳媒朋友喺網上出席今早消費者委員會嘅旗艦刊物《選擇月刊》最新一期550期今日出版嘅發佈會。咁我同消委會總幹事喺今期嘅《選擇月刊》裏邊咧揀咗5篇文章同大家分享嘅。咁呢啲文章咧都係同我哋生活息息相關。咁首先咧，大家一定記得喺2019年冠狀病毒病疫情開始嘅時候咧，我哋已經要佩戴口罩保護自己。但係到而家已經過咗2年啦，口罩仍然都係我哋隨身不可缺少嘅一個物品。咁2年以嚟咧，香港本地都生產咗好多唔同嘅口罩同埋品牌，商家亦都推出咗咧唔同嘅顏色啊、唔同嘅圖案同埋形狀嘅口罩，因為令到我哋生活上咧添一啲色彩，唔需要咁苦悶啦。咁除咗平面口罩之外咧，亦都有立體口罩，林林總總。咁消費者選擇購買口罩嘅時候，肯定有好多問題要考慮。譬如話口罩嘅保護能力啦，對細菌過濾效率啦，果粒過濾效率等等，仲有係咪舒服呢？嗰啲顏料係咪安全呢？係咪防水呢？係咪符合衞生標準呢？咁我哋嘅耳帶容唔容易斷呢？好多呢啲問題。咁我哋點樣選擇呢？今期消委會嘅選擇月刊可以為大家提供一啲有用嘅資料。咁為咗方便大家明白我哋今次測試嘅結果咧，我哋將個資料咧製作咗條短片同大家分享嘅。唔該，去片啦。
紅橙黃綠咩色都有，但我最需要嘅係最出色。
究竟邊款口罩表現最出色啊？
睇選擇月刊嘅測試報告啦！
疫情1日未退，口罩嘅防菌同防病毒效能都好緊要。咁就睇 PFE 同 TFE， 即係細菌同顆粒過濾效率。消委會測試咗30款唔同嘅顏色同圖案嘅口罩，咁大部分嘅效果咧表現都唔錯嘅，不過都有例外。
測試中所有樣本嘅 BFE 同 PFT 平均值都高過95%，咁即係達到 ASTM 嘅第1級，可以為佩戴者提供基本嘅保護。其中29款 BFT 細菌過濾效率嘅平均值都高過99%，達到 ASTM 嘅第3級，表現出色。但呢一款口罩型號就例外，不過仍然高於 ASTM 第1級嘅水平。不過喺 PFE 顆粒過濾效率嘅測試入邊，有19款型號最少有1個測試樣本嘅顆粒過濾效率低過聲稱嘅要求。其中呢一款型號 PFE 平均值聲稱達到 ASTM 嘅第3級水平，但係測試結果只係達到第1級。
口罩爹哋戴，除咗防護效能夠之外，
仲要夠透氣，呼吸先至暢順。壓力測試反映口罩嘅透氣程度同埋佩戴舒適度，今次測試結果都幾參差㗎。
測試中呢4款型號嘅全部樣本嘅壓力差測試數值都比較低，可以提供較佳嘅呼吸舒適度。不過呢4款型號有樣本喺壓力差測試嘅數值未能夠達到 ASTM 標準嘅第2級同第3級嘅要求，佩戴時呼吸舒適度就麻麻地啦。成日
戴住個口罩，如果佢本身唔衞生，隨時搞到塊面敏感同出粒粒。
同埋啊，喺含菌啊測試到發現呢，部分樣本嘅衞生狀況都麻麻地嘅，大家真係要小心啊！
呢6款型號嘅測試樣本，平均每克細菌菌落嘅總數都超出歐盟標準嘅限量。當中呢一款型號嘅測試樣本含菌量最高，比標準限量高超過6倍。
今次仲測試埋5顏6色嘅口罩顏料係咪安全？結果全部樣本都冇檢驗出致癌物偶氮染料，咁大家就戴得安心啦。 成班女仔成日傾密偈，
梗係要防水防滲啦。
梗係啦，傾得興起嘅時候啊，少不免會口沫橫飛嘅。
合成血穿透測試可以檢視到口罩嘅防水同埋防滲能力。測試結果顯示，過半嘅樣本表現得出色，但亦有部分表現麻麻。
測試中近2/3嘅型號嘅全部樣本都冇被合成血穿透，表現出色。不過呢2款型號喺較低嘅壓力差測試下，仍然有樣本被合成血穿透，表現令人失望。
食飯飲水個口罩又大又重，
耳帶拉力就要夠強啦。
如果唔係嘅話，喺戴同除口罩嗰陣就容易斷裂㗎啦。
喺口罩耳帶斷裂拉力測試入邊，有超過2成嘅樣本表現都係麻麻地㗎，大家要留意啦。
測試中呢7款型號最少有1個樣本嘅耳帶斷裂拉力測試結果低過國家標準嘅下限。當中呢3款型號全部4個樣本嘅耳帶斷裂拉力都低過標準下限，大家戴同除口罩嘅時候要留意啦。
提提大家，疫情反覆，記得戴口罩同做好防疫措施啊！想知更多關於口罩嘅消費貼士，
睇第550期選擇月刊啦！
好，依家由我哋補充有關顏色口罩嘅一啲內容，同埋其他4篇文章，我哋揾到啲咩嘅資料。咁首先咧就係顏色口罩啦。咁正如我正話講咧，新冠肺炎嘅疫情已經持續咗2年。喺新常態之下咧，佩戴口罩已經成為我哋市民抗疫嘅日常啦。口罩嘅過濾效能、舒適度、設計甚至顏色，都係我哋買嘅時候考慮嘅重點嚟嘅。咁消費者委員會咧喺2017同埋2020年咧都有先後做過呢個調查。咁今次咧係再次咧係測試市面上30款唔同型號嘅一次性嘅彩色或者有圖案嘅口罩。咁結果發現咗咧，全部樣本嘅平均細菌過濾效率，我哋叫做 BFE。同埋平均果粒過濾效率，我哋叫做 PFE， 均能達到95%以上嘅，即係話我哋達到美國材料同埋試驗協會 ASTM F2100嘅標準嘅一般要求。咁儘管各種型號咧喺日常生活中能夠佩戴，為我哋提供基本嘅保護，但係我哋有超過60%嘅型號咧，最少有一個樣本嘅果粒過濾效率咧係低於聲稱。顯示到生產商喺監控口罩質素嘅穩定性仍然存在有唔少改善嘅空間。另外有個別嘅型號咧喺其他測試項目表現亦都欠理想嘅，譬如6款含菌量咧係超出歐盟標準嘅菌落總數限量，2款咧喺合成血嘅穿透測試之中咧嘅防滲效能咧表現欠佳，4款型號咧有啲樣本透氣程度咧就較為遜色，以及咧7款喺口罩耳帶咧斷裂測試啦。嗰個拉力測試之中咧，至少有1個樣本嘅平均耳帶拉力咧係低於下限要求。咁消費者咧係要多加留意我哋測試嘅結果。咁根據消費品安全條例，消費品必須符合一般安全規定，即係話相關製造商、進口商同埋供應商有責任確保佢嘅消費品咧達到合理嘅安全程度，否則有機會係觸犯咗法例。譬如商品嘅效能未能符合聲稱啦。亦都可能有觸犯咗商品說明條例。咁外科口罩咧一般咧係視為醫療儀器嚟㗎，但係香港現時咧係冇特定法例規管呢個醫療儀器嘅製造、進口、出口、銷售同埋使用。咁消委會咧提議咧，亦都倡議咧加強對口罩嘅品質要求，並且加強規管。咁樣咧唔單止有助預防感染2019年冠狀病毒病，亦都可以咧降低每年流感高峰期對市民大眾構成嘅健康風險。咁我哋今次咧測試咗30款唔同顏色同埋圖案嘅一次性使用嘅外科口罩。咁分別咧有21款係平面嘅，有9款係立體嘅口罩。咁每個口罩平均嘅價格咧大約係個半至9個8港幣左右。咁測試結果如何咧？咁我哋發現咗咧口罩嘅過濾效能咧係最重要嘅。咁參考咗 ASTM F2100 19嘅要求，一般嘅 BFE 即係細菌過濾啦，同埋 PFE 即係果粒過濾啦，需要達到95%以上嘅或者以上。2級同埋3級咧，即係需要達到98%或者以上。咁測試每款型號5個樣本嘅 BFE 同埋 PFE， 結果都顯示咗咧29款型號嘅 BFE 平均值咧都高於99%，表現出色。但係有一款標示為 ASTM 3級嘅型號， 全部5個測試樣本咧量得嘅 BFE 都係低過佢聲稱嘅99%或以上，佢嘅結果只係得介乎96.7%至97.3%左右，咁即係話只係達到 ASTM 一般水平或者1級水平。而喺呢個 PFE 即係嗰粒過濾測試之中咧，80%嘅型號嘅表現唔錯嘅，平均 BFE 都高於98%。但係咧有19款型號咧喺測試嘅5個樣本之中咧，最少都有1個樣本咧量得嘅 PFE 咧係低於佢聲稱嘅。差距最大嘅款型號咧，聲稱佢可以嘅 PFE 咧係超過99%，但係測試結果咧發現佢嘅平均 PFE 咧只係得95.3%嘅百分比。咁另外一款咧聲稱佢嘅 PFE 咧係大過或者等於99%啦，但係測試結果顯示咧佢平均嘅 PFE 咧只係得96.06%。咁呢個型號咧有個別測試樣本嘅 PFE 咧更係只係得94.48%，咁比 ASTM 一級水平要求95%更低。咁即係呢個表現咧令人失望嘅。另外有一款型號喺測試中咧量得嘅 BFE 咧同埋 PFE 咧都係同時低於佢聲稱話達到超過99%嘅。咁至於合成血穿透測試模擬發生咧係血液或者體液咧飛濺到口罩表面時，口罩能唔能夠提供足夠嘅保護？咁除咗某啲特定工種啦，譬如咁我哋日常之中咧，其實係遇到呢個血液或者體液飛濺嘅機會都好細嘅。不過呢次測試結果咧對口罩嘅防水同埋防滲能力咧有一定嘅參考價值。咁每款型號咧，我哋都會測試32個樣本嘅，而且根據佢聲稱嘅標準級別，用相應嘅壓力進行測試。咁如果多過3個樣本咧，係佢嘅最低壓力，即係80個 millimeter 嘅 Hg 啦，即係水銀柱嘅88個微米。咁咧測試中咧就被合成血穿透，佢嘅表現咧會評為唔滿意嘅。結果咧63%嘅型號咧能夠完全通過呢個測試，表現優良。但係有2款型號咧喺最低壓力測試之中咧，仍分別有7個同埋26個樣本咧被合成血穿透。咁即係話喺呢個項目之中咧，佢哋只係得1分嘅啫。咁喺疫情之下咧，市民無論係返工啦、返學啦，喺抗疫期間咧都需要長時間佩戴口罩嚟到預防感染或者咧係傳播病毒。但係口罩本身嘅衞生程度係點咧？咁係如果情況唔好嘅話咧，或者有機會咧引起面部嘅皮膚問題啦。咁今次各種型號嘅含菌量測試表現差異都好大，有6款嘅型號咧檢出嘅含菌量超出歐盟標準 EN14683冒號2019所訂定嘅每克細菌群落總數嘅限量30。咁咧佢哋嘅量咧係有維持喺65.1至超過219.9嘅群落數目嘅。其中含菌量最高嘅一款型號咧，比標準限量咧係高出咗6倍，衞生情況咧係令人關注嘅。咁口罩嘅舒適度同埋透氣度咧，亦都係我哋選擇一個好重要嘅考慮嚟㗎。咁今次量度嘅口罩正面前同埋背面後嘅壓力差異，你要評估咧透氣程度，即係呼吸嘅時候舒唔舒服啦。咁80%嘅型號咧，全部樣本嘅壓力測試結果咧，都係低於5.0個微米水1平方厘米嘅面積。當中咧更有4款型號嘅全部樣本嘅壓力測試嘅結果咧，係低於3.0嘅 millimeter 水每1個平方厘米，可以提供較佳嘅呼吸度嘅舒適度嘅。咁呼吸舒適度較低嘅4款型號咧，部分或者全部樣本嘅壓力測試咧，結果都高於6.0嘅微米水每平方厘米嘅面積，就未能達到 ASTM 標準嘅2級同埋3級嘅要求。咁過往測試咧，發現口罩耳帶嘅質素咧好參差嘅。咁喺今次斷裂拉力測試之中咧，有2成嘅型號咧喺測試嘅4個樣本之中咧，最少1個樣本測試嘅結果咧係低於國家標準嘅下限，即係10個 Newton 嘅拉力，10個 N 嘅拉力。其中3款型號咧，更係全部4個測試樣本之中嘅耳帶斷裂拉力咧都低於10個 N 嘅，即係話耳帶咧較容易拉斷嘅。咁生產商咧應該要馬上從速改善呢個問題。咁消費者咧，因為如果斷咗之後咧，要經常更換呢個口罩嘅密度啦，咁除咗浪費錢之外咧，亦都會造成好多廢物嘅。咁近年咧，市面上越嚟越多唔同顏色或者圖案嘅口罩，令到消費者咧喺持久嘅抗疫戰中咧增加咗一啲色彩。咁有見及此啦，咁我哋對 今次嘅樣本咧，亦都進行可致癌嘅偶氮染料測試，咁顯示咧口罩嘅染料嘅安全性。咁測試結果顯示咧，全部樣本咧都冇驗出呢個偶氮嘅染料，咁消費者咧可以安全使用。咁我咗一大堆咧好複雜嘅問題，咁我用一個簡單嘅表咧嚟到介紹下我哋今次檢測嘅結果啦。咁我哋主要咧檢測咗30款唔同顏色圖案嘅口罩，咁我哋睇下佢效能啦。咁至於防菌效能測試之中咧表現唔差嘅，咁咧全部咧平均嘅 BFE 同埋 PFE 咧最少都達到 ASTM 1級水平，即係具有基本保護。其中19款咧唔符合佢聲稱當中一款，更同時咧唔符合佢嘅 BFE 聲稱。所以雖然整體表現不俗，但係佢個聲稱咧同埋測試結果咧係唔符合嘅，所以生產商咧要注意呢件事情。咁至於我哋顏色啦嘅口罩就呢個染料啦，咁關於偶氮染料測試咧，全部咧都冇驗出呢個偶氮染料，所以係安全嘅。咁另外仲有啲好需要改善嘅地方咧，除咗聲稱不符之外咧，就係我哋個衞生啦。咁我哋做呢個含菌量測試嘅時候咧，6款係超出咗歐盟嘅標準嘅。咁而家關於合成血穿透測試咧，係2款咧未能夠通過最低嘅壓力測試。而至於透氣度方面咧，4款咧個呼吸舒適度咧就較低。咁仲有7款咧就個耳帶咧好容易拉斷啊，即係佢唔符合我哋嘅斷裂拉力嘅測試，係低於呢個標準下限嘅。咁所以咧就呢個都係需要注意嘅事情。咁除咗呢個之外咧，我哋都測試咗咧係嗰個產品嘅標籤資料。咁發現咗唔少型號嘅標籤資料咧，同埋使用説明咧都唔夠全面嘅。尤其喺抗疫非常時期咧，我哋應該係提醒消費者咧係做咗各項嘅防疫措施。咁唔係淨係戴咗口罩就得㗎啦。咁所以消委會咧敦促生產商咧改善呢個標籤資料，包括咧提醒用家咧佩戴口罩前後嘅正確方法，以及咧係點樣丟棄呢個用完嘅口罩呢個適當嘅方法等等。咁消費者喺選擇或者購買口罩嘅時候咧，亦都要記住咧，唔好忘記咧係其他防疫措施，要係時刻注意個人同埋環境衛生。咁仲要注意以下嘅事項㗎。第一，每次佩戴口罩咧需要檢查係咪貼緊個面部。咁你可以試下點咧，將雙手咧就谷成杯狀啦，咁啊擺喺個口罩度啦。咁然之後睇下咧係有冇邊緣上面咧係咪有漏氣啦，有冇空隙啦。同埋咧，確保咧同埋鼻呢度亦都有冇啦，咁啊確保咧係冇空氣咧同眼睛部分咧或者附近位置或者口罩兩邊咧係流出嚟嘅。咁如果口罩咧未能透過上述方法緊貼我哋嘅面部啦，咁我哋應該考慮咧就將口罩嘅橡筋喺呢個口罩嘅邊緣地方咧打結，咁啊整理好佢，咁然後咧將多餘嘅口罩材料咧疊就藏喺呢個口罩邊緣裏邊嘅。咁如果口罩咧仍然未能夠緊貼嘅面部咧，咁我哋可以考慮咧喺外科口罩上面咧再加一個布口罩。咁呢個係關於顏色口罩嘅一個資料。咁嘅第2篇文章咧，其實就係好多家庭都會用噶啦，就係烹調攪拌機。咁為咗方便大家明白呢一個烹調攪拌機嘅研究資料結果咧，我哋都製咗個短片嘅，請大家分享。依家去片啦，唔該。
撳個掣，沙冰、米糊、細湯、豆漿，樣樣都做到。呢一類烹調攪拌機標榜攪拌效能高，煮出嚟嘅食物均勻幼滑，實情又係咪咁呢？消委會測試咗12款烹調攪拌機嘅樣本，發現佢哋攪拌表現都幾參差。整體嚟講，8款容量較大嘅型號表現較好，其餘4款較細嘅型號就有2款唔可以將食材完全攪碎，表現就麻麻啦。煮西式濃湯講求口感同幼滑度，結果又點呢？例如係煮忌廉薯仔蘑菇湯，大部分烹調攪拌機都可以做到濃厚、均勻同幼滑嘅效果，獲得最高5點嘅評分。淨係得1款樣本煮出嚟嘅湯唔夠幼滑，濃度亦都唔夠，只得2.5分。製作芝麻糊嘅食材都比較細，呢一類烹調攪拌機係咪可以煮出幼滑嘅口感呢？測試就發現唔同樣本煮出嚟嘅幼滑度差異幾大。呢3款樣本可以製作出非常幼滑嘅芝麻糊，但係另外3款樣本就表現麻麻啦。煮出嚟嘅芝麻糊非常粗糙之餘，口感亦都較差。做廚神同時都要注意安全，留意以下使用貼士。 測試中部分樣本喺烹調食物嗰陣，攪拌杯頂蓋嘅溫度超過85度，用嗰陣應該避免掂到。煮出嚟嘅湯壺係咪香濃、均勻同幼滑，受好多唔同因素影響，所以唔係單憑刀片轉速而定。另外喺放入食物或者清潔嗰陣，要小心唔好被攪拌杯內置嘅鋒利刀片割傷啊！想知更多關於選購同使用烹調攪拌機嘅小貼士，快啲睇第550期選擇月刊啦！
好，依家由我補充關於烹調攪拌機我哋嘅測試結果又如何呢？表現又點樣呢？咁大家正話喺短片都睇到啦，香港人生活繁忙啦，咁日常煮食咧講求方便同埋效率嘅，咁我哋希望咧淨係需要放入食材，撳下個掣就可以煮出咧唔同嘅食品啦，譬如各式嘅湯壺美食啦，咁所以呢類嘅烹調攪拌機咧就應運而生，咁亦都係我哋不少人咧入廚嘅好幫手。咁消費者委員會咧測試咗市面上12款烹調攪拌機樣本嘅效能同埋安全程度，發現咧樣本之間嘅攪拌能力同埋烹調效果咧表現參差，無論食物嘅幼滑度啦、濃度啦，或者細緻均勻度嘅程度嘅差異咧都相當大嘅。其中2款咧甚至未能完全將呢個食物咧攪碎，表現令人失望。咁整體而言咧，容量較細嘅小型攪拌機嘅表現咧比較遜色嘅。另外5款樣本咧存在不同嘅程度嘅安全隱患，包括譬如溫升過高啦，或者絕緣距離唔夠啦，咁可能為消費者咧帶來潛在嘅使用風險嘅。咁今次測試嘅12個樣本咧，其實嘅價格咧係介乎529蚊至4670蚊。咁8款樣本嘅額定最大嘅烹調容量較高，咁咩較高咧？就係話大約係1.75升至2升嘅容量。咁我哋一般咧稱為一般攪拌機。咁另外咧就4款嘅額定最大烹調容量咧係較低，咁係只係得0.35至0.5升嘅啫。咁我哋叫做小型攪拌機啦。咁亦都注意嘅係咧，3款總評分最高4.5分嘅烹調攪拌機樣本咧，售價大約係1668蚊至2198蚊。咁整體表現咧係略勝於售價最高並獲得4分嘅樣本，佢嘅價格咧係4670蚊。咁再次反映咧產品表現同埋售價高低咧冇必然嘅關係。咁烹調攪拌機咧係咪能夠烹調出均勻幼滑嘅濃糊啦？最後嘅結果對最終嘅效果或者佢攪拌食物嘅細緻程度關係密切嘅。但係我哋經過測試樣本嘅攪拌能力咧表現係懸殊。咁按照標準咗紅蘿蔔啦、薯仔啦、洋葱啦、香芹葉啦同埋水等攪拌，結果咧5款一般攪拌機樣本喺攪拌測試之中咧獲得最高嘅5分。相反，4款小型攪拌機咧表現較為遜色，除咗2款樣本獲3.5分之外咧，其他2款咧都未能夠完全將呢個食材攪碎嘅。咁喺攪拌測試之中咧，只係得1分嘅啫。咁消費者咧其實最注重咧所烹調嘅湯壺嘅表現嘅。咁但係咧測試咗5款不同嘅湯壺，包括咧西式濃湯啦、雜菜湯啦、蔬果沙冰啦、豆漿啦同埋芝麻糊嘅結果顯示咧，各樣本烹調唔同食物嘅表現，包括濃度、均勻度、幼滑度同埋口感咧，都各有高低嘅。咁以西式濃湯為例啦，有90%嘅樣本咧都能夠製作出口感非常之濃厚同埋幼滑嘅濃湯，咁可以獲得最高嘅5分。但係有一款咧製作出嚟嘅濃湯咧，無論喺濃度同埋幼滑度咧都唔夠嘅，只係得2.5分。另外咧4款樣本喺烹調雜菜湯嘅濃度亦都唔夠，或者未能夠將蔬菜咧攪得好均勻細緻，只係得3.5分或者以下。3款樣本烹調嘅芝麻糊咧非常粗糙，口感唔好啦，只係得2.5嘅評分，反映部分樣本嘅攪拌機咧對非常細小嘅食材，譬如芝麻或者白米嘅效果咧係欠佳。咁測試中整體表現較為遜色嘅咧，就係一款小型攪拌機嘅樣本，只係得2.5分。佢烹調出嚟嘅雜菜湯同埋芝麻糊嘅表現咧，都係2.5分嘅。咁關於製作飲品方面啦，一般嘅攪拌機咧都可以製造蔬果沙冰啦，佢嘅表現咧都幾好嘅。但係全部小型攪拌機同埋一款一般攪拌機咧，佢嘅表現係稍為遜色，只係得3.5分或者以下嘅。另外製作豆漿嘅時候，最重要嘅口感咧就幼滑啦，同埋冇青草味嘅。但係一款樣本製作出嚟嘅豆漿咧有較多黃豆皮啦，咁口感咧就粗糙。咁2款樣本因為預設烹調時間較短啊，咁未能夠咧單靠個摩打嘅摩擦能力咧係移除咗黃豆嘅青草味或者草青味啦，我哋叫。 用家咧要先行咧烹調咗黃豆，再將煮熟嘅黃豆咧放入咗攪拌機裏邊烹調。咁工序就比較繁複啦，所以只係得3分嘅啫。消委會提醒咧，製作豆漿嘅大豆咧係容易受到蠟樣芽孢桿菌天然嘅污染。為咗避免呢個產生毒素咧，消費者咧係應該咧喺煮好啲豆漿之後咧，要盡快飲用或者存放喺雪櫃之內嘅。咁消費者使用烹調攪拌機嘅時候咧，除咗要注重烹調效果之外，亦都要注重安全啦，係使用安全。咁我哋今次發現咧，測試5款樣本之中咧，發現某啲內部帶電部分同埋咧用戶可接觸嘅部分之間嘅絕緣距離唔夠，潛在安全風險。當中2款小型攪拌機咧，更未能夠通過呢個升溫測試。按照安全標準攪拌大量食材嘅時候咧，出現咗過熱嘅情況，咁以致咧過熱保護嘅裝置咧自動啟動，所以咧未能夠完成測試。咁有一款喺烹調嘅時候咧，接駁電源嘅線嘅部分位置咧係量得嘅溫升咧係58 K， 咁1 K 咧就1度攝氏嘅，咁出咗標準上限嘅45 K。咁所以消費者咧選購同埋使用烹調攪拌機嘅時候咧，要注意以下事項：一、唔可以單靠產品嘅轉速聲稱嚟到購買作為購買標準，應該仔細比較唔同烹調容量同埋功能，並係按照家庭人數同埋功能嚟到選擇。第二咧，攪拌杯裏邊咧係有一啲鋒利嘅刀片嘅，所以咧清熱嘅時候或者放入食材嘅時候，你要分外小心。第三咧，烹調食品嘅時候咧，機身表面咧亦都或者會較熱㗎。咁應該避免接觸，更唔可以咧俾小朋友咧係單獨使用或者接觸呢啲烹調攪拌機。咁呢個就係烹調攪拌機嘅文章。咁第3篇文章咧就係好多咧孕婦啊都會好關心嘅，就係抗妊娠紋嘅產品啦。咁婦女咧喺懷孕期間，其中一個煩惱咧就係肚皮上面出現一條條難以完全消退嘅妊娠紋。咁所以咧好唔少婦女咧喺懷孕嘅時候咧，甚至懷孕初期，甚至係產後咧，都會咧好經常咧係搽一啲唔同嘅抗妊娠紋嘅產品啦。咁消費者委員會咧今次咧係第一次咧係測試咗市面係30款講可以提供俾懷孕或者產後婦女咧專用嘅抗妊娠紋產品。咁我哋測試結果發現咧，有超過40%嘅呢啲產品咧都檢出咗香料致敏物。另外咧有4款樣本咧分別檢出咗潛在有害物質、人造麝香及或者塑化劑，或者可能增加咗胎兒同埋嬰兒咧經由母體或者母乳咧攝入咗潛在有害物質嘅風險。消委會提醒咧，母親同埋初生嬰兒咧經常有緊密接觸嘅，特別係正在喺哺乳期嘅母親。咁所以咧有需要使用抗妊娠紋產品嘅胸部嘅位置啦，我哋一定要選擇一啲咧唔含有潛在有害物質嘅產品。咁消委會強調，獲得安全保障咧係消費者嘅最基本權利。抗妊娠紋產品如果含有麝香物質、塑化劑以及其他潛在有害物質，長期接觸或者可能對孕婦、胎兒或者初生嬰兒咧嘅健康產生風險。所以消委會咧係建議相關產品供應商盡量降低產品中潛在有害物質嘅含量，甚或完全取締相關成分嘅使用，以加強對媽媽、胎兒同埋嬰幼兒嘅健康保障。消委會今次咧測試咗30款抗妊娠紋產品樣本，其中12款嘅抗妊娠紋咧係油狀嘅，我哋叫抗妊娠紋油；而18款咧係抗妊娠紋嘅乳霜。咁每支或者每瓶嘅售價咧大約係90蚊至570蚊不等。咁我按照歐盟化妝品條例，將26款香料界定為香料致敏物質。咁今次測試嘅30款樣本之中咧，冇一個樣本咧驗出歐盟禁用於製造化妝品嘅香料致敏物質，包括咧係新鈴蘭醛 HICC 或者鈴蘭醛 BMHCA。但係有超過40%嘅樣本咧係檢出唔同種類同埋唔同濃度嘅其他嘅香料致敏物。咁總量咧係由0.001至1.43，其中11款嘅樣本嘅香料致敏物嘅總量咧係較高，由0.11至1.43不等。14款檢出香料致敏物質嘅樣本之中咧，超過40%咧檢出3種或者以上嘅香料致敏物質，其中1款樣本咧更驗出超過9種嘅香料致敏物。咁另外有2款樣本咧，分別係驗出5種同埋7種香料致敏物質，即係唔係淨係1款嘅啫。測試中部分樣本檢出嘅檸檬烯、芳香醇、 同埋香葉醇等香料致敏物質咧都有嘅。咁消委會提醒咧，儘管佢哋本身嘅致敏性唔算好高，不過如果當呢啲物質咧經過空氣接觸而產生氧化咧，就會形成致敏性較高嘅物質，咁有機會咧增加皮膚過敏嘅風險。咁消費者需要注意咧，就係個別檢出香料致敏物嘅總量較高嘅樣本咧，係罐裝產品。咁消費者咧就係喺攞咗呢啲產品之後咧，一定要盡快咧扭緊個瓶蓋，因為罐裝嘅表面積係大嘅，所以好容易氧化。咁如果我哋唔擰緊佢咧，就會令到佢接觸空氣而氧化之後產生一啲致敏性較高嘅物質。咁所以你用完之後咧，記緊將佢擰實，然之後咧減低呢個產品咧同空氣接觸而產生氧化嘅機會嘅。咁另外消費者亦都要留意咧，喺使用產品若干嘅時間之後咧，如果出現咗皮膚過敏啦，譬如話紅斑啦、痕癢啦或者脫皮呢啲情況咧，咁嚴重者咧或者有需要盡快求醫診治。咁人造麝香咧，其實廣泛使用於唔同類別嘅消費品之中嘅，咁可以輔助咧佢嘅香料散發出香氣啦。但係有研究指出，佳樂麝香 HHCB 同埋吐納麝香 AHTN。喺人類細胞測試之中咧，呈現弱嘅雌激素嘅特性。如果我用實驗動物嚟到進行嘅測試，更加顯示咧高劑量嘅 AHTN 咧可以驗出對實驗動物嘅肝臟咧係造成損害。測試之中咧有3款樣本檢出唔同濃度嘅 HHCB， 其中檢出量最高嘅一款樣本咧更同時檢出咗 AHTN。另外測試之中有2款樣本咧檢出咗微量塑化劑，分別係鄰苯二甲酸22壬酯，我哋簡稱叫 DIMP， 同埋鄰苯二甲酸2乙酯，我哋簡稱叫 DEP。咁佢檢出嘅量咧分別係8個 ppm 同埋20個 ppm， 即係80000之中嘅8或者80000之中嘅20。喺產品之中檢出微量塑化劑，有可能咧係源自生產或者儲存過程嘅期間，經由接觸嘅塑膠物料咧係釋出，咁啊產生呢個塑化劑而引起微量嘅污染。但係 DEP 咧亦都可以作為香料嘅載體，而 DIMP 咧就係高分子量嘅塑化劑，可以通過加入聚氯乙烯之中軟化呢個膠料嘅。咁有動物研究顯示咧，重複咁經由口服途徑而攝入高量嘅 DIMP， 可能影響咗大鼠嘅肝臟同埋腎臟。儘管內地同埋歐洲等地咧現時都冇將上述嘅塑化劑，即係 DEP 同埋 DIMP 同埋人造麝香物質，即係 HHCB 同埋 AHTN 喺化妝品嘅使用量度設有上限規定，而且咧佢長遠影響咧亦都需要有待研究，我哋先可以確定嘅。不過由於胎兒同埋初生嬰幼兒咧係如果你喺年幼嘅階段咧已經由母體開始重複咁樣接觸呢啲物質，加上咧佢哋嘅新陳代謝未夠成熟，所以咧為人父母喺選擇嘅時候咧呢個人同埋嬰幼兒護膚品咧就不容掉以輕心。咁咧，所以因為咁嚴重啦，所以我哋就特別將我哋正話發現有害物質咧，就係整結成為一個表俾大家睇啦。咁我哋測試咗咧30款抗妊娠嘅產品，14款咧檢出咗有呢個香料致敏物質啦。咁啊3款檢出咗5至9種啦，11款嘅總量咧係較高。咁香料致敏物質咧可以增加部分人士咧出現呢個皮膚過敏嘅反應嘅機會啦，譬如可以出現紅斑啦、痕癢啦或者脫皮等。咁2款咧檢出咗呢個塑化劑啦，咁就係有 DEP 同埋 DIMP 嘅。咁我哋知道咧喺實驗結果咧就係如果攝入高劑量嘅 DIMP 咧，或者影響研究動物嘅肝臟同埋腎臟。咁3款咧係驗出咗呢個麝香啦，人造麝香就係 HHCB 同埋 AHTN 嘅。咁人造麝香咧，我哋用人類細胞嚟進行實驗研究嘅時候咧，發現咗 HHCB 同埋 AHTN 咧都有微嘅雌激素嘅特性㗎，咁所以影響我哋內分泌系統。咁所以我哋使用嘅時候要注意咧，就係話我哋要查閱產品同埋佢嘅成分啦，嘅列表嘅成分啦，咁啊檢視有冇係容易有呢啲致敏嘅成分。咁部分香料嘅致敏物質喺氧化之後咧，會產生咗呢個致敏性更高嘅物質，所以我哋特別要留意，同埋最好咧用完之後將個蓋閂翻好去嘅。咁如果我哋將啲產品咧搽喺個胸部嘅位置啦，咁你可以咧增加咗嬰兒透過母乳嘅餵食啦，或者其他途徑咧入到佢嘅身體裏邊，所以更加需要注意。咁雖然咧除咗呢啲咁嘅我哋正話嘅有害物質之外咧，其實咧懷孕嘅期間咧，如果婦女咧係孕婦咧係接納過量嘅維他命 A， 亦都可能增加嬰兒出現咧先天性缺陷嘅機會嘅。 咁除咗經由食物或者營養補充劑攝取得嚟之後咧，經常喺皮膚上搽呢啲以維他命 A 為主要成分嘅藥膏咧，亦都可以增加相關嘅攝入量嘅。咁我哋今次測試之中咧，有一款樣本咧檢出嘅棕櫚酸維他命 A 嘅成分濃度咧係84%。儘管佢檢出嘅量咧符合歐盟消費者安全科學委員會就住身體潤膚乳建議嘅最高含量水平，構成健康風險嘅機會唔大。消委會咧就唔建議咧將有維他命 A 或者佢衍生產品嘅物品咧隨意係用喺嬰幼兒嘅身上啦。咁我哋都建議咧使用嘅時候要小心啦，避免嬰幼兒咧係誤服嘅。咁消委會咧喺檢視樣本成分標籤嘅時候咧，亦都發現有2款嘅樣本咧標示含有礦物油或者礦脂等礦物油嘅成分。參考消委會過往嘅測試報告咧，含礦物油成分嘅潤唇膏啦產品普遍檢出咗礦物油嘅物質咧係 MOS， 即係我哋叫做咧礦物油碳氫化物 MOSH， 同埋 MONAT MOAH 就係礦物油芳香碳氫化合物。咁當部分呢啲咁嘅食物呢啲物質被侵蝕咗之後咧，係有機會積存喺身體裏邊嘅，而部分咧更有潛在嘅致癌嘅風險。咁所以咧，消費者咧係要多加注意，避免咧使用含有礦物油成分嘅產品係塗喺呢個胸部度嘅，以免嬰幼兒咧係經過母乳咧係攝入過自己嘅身體裏邊。咁另一方面咧，消委會亦都發現部分樣本咧，唔論喺標示成分、顯示位置同埋有效資料都有唔少需要改善嘅空間，包括咧2款樣本嘅成分列表咧標示喺內包裝裏邊，即係話你要打開裏邊先睇到。2款標出嘅香料致敏物質總量咧較高嘅樣本咧都冇標示相關香料致敏物質喺個成分列表之中。另外有2款樣本咧完全冇列明咧產品使用期，而標示咧有開封之後使用期嘅26款樣本之中咧，打開之後產品後嘅使用期咧差異好大嘅，有啲話係2個月之內用晒啦，有啲話3個月都不等嘅，36個月都不等。消費者係購買前咧需要衡量產品係咪能夠喺指定期限之內用完，以免造成浪費。咁消費者選購同埋使用抗妊娠紋產品嘅時候咧，除咗要檢視產品嘅成分列表同埋使用期限之外咧，亦都要注意以下嘅事項。第一，留意產品係咪適合用於傷口或者手術疤痕位置，並且考慮產品嘅質地啦、皮膚狀況啦同埋季節等因素。如果自行配搭唔同嘅產品嚟到使用咧，唔同嘅品牌使用咧，要留意唔同產品嘅成分同埋安全程度。第3，皮膚對於香料較容易出現過敏反應嘅人士咧，最好選擇一啲唔含香料同埋香料致敏物嘅產品。一旦出現呢個過敏情況咧，要立即停止使用。第4咧，如果以母乳餵哺嬰兒嘅母親咧，如果有需要於胸口使用產品咧，應該選擇唔含有人造麝香或者塑化劑嘅產品，以免嬰幼兒咧經由口服途徑而攝入呢啲咁嘅潛在有害物質。咁最後咧就係婦女懷孕期間咧，佢嘅身體裏邊嘅荷爾蒙咧會產生變化，咁有機會咧對於氣味咧係分外敏感。咁所以購買產品之前咧最好試下用，並且確保咧質地同埋氣味都係適合自己嘅。咁呢個關於抗妊娠紋嘅產品。咁第4份文章咧就係舊衣回收嘅服務啦。咁大家都知道咧，香港物質咧供應相對充裕，不少消費者咧或者有啲咧只係着過幾次嘅衫，甚至或者從未着過啲新衫咧，擺咗喺籠底裏邊嘅，或者衣櫃底裏邊嘅。咁近年咧有唔少機構咧提供舊衣回收服務啦，咁消費者可以將衣物咧捐贈，咁啊唔會造成浪費。消費者委員會咧調查市面有11間有提供衣物回收服務嘅機構，發現咧可以回收嘅衣物無論喺種類、新淨程度同埋衞生水平咧，都需要符合一定嘅條件。同時，如果要上門回收咧，捐贈嘅衣物咧需要符合一定嘅數量。回收衣物服務咧係有助延長呢個物品嘅使用壽命，可以促進環保，但係亦都可以達至可持續消費。咁消費者咧可以捐贈呢個衣物之外咧，更直接或者有效嘅方法咧，其實係源頭減廢。咁即係話需要先買，而唔係想要就去買啦。咁我哋咧可以避免大量購買呢個流行週期短啦、售價低但係唔能夠耐用嘅快時尚嘅成衣。咁消委會強調咧，要做到真正嘅斷捨離，消費者咧必須由斷做起啦。咁即係斷絕過度或者不必要嘅消費，並且提防不知不覺之後咧，以為可回收啦，咁啊有好大理由啦，咁我哋可以繼續買，放心去買，就囤積呢個衣物。咁但係呢個咧就係唔好嘅， 咁所以我哋唔能夠咧係不斷自製寫或者嚟嘅衣物。消委會職員喺今年5月至6月咧，要消費者身份檢視11間有提供舊衣回收計劃嘅機構，透過佢嘅網站啦、社交媒體專頁啦、門市啦、客戶服務熱線等渠道，了解唔同嘅舊衣回收計劃嘅詳情。咁喺11間調查機構之中咧，6間屬於非牟利組織，5間係連鎖服裝店。其中喺非牟利組織嘅組別裏邊咧，有4間係民政事務總署之下嘅社區舊衣回收商計劃嘅管理機構。咁我哋調查之中咧，就發現各個機構對回收衣物嘅種類咧有唔同嘅要求。儘管6間非牟利組織接收嘅衣物咧類型大多類同，譬如包括衣服啦、手袋啦、背包，但係當中5間訂明咧唔接收皮草、嬰幼兒服裝、床上用品等。個機構更加列明咧唔會回收鞋履同埋舊衣物，需要係當季嘅衣物。咁亦未必1年4季咧都會收藏冬季嘅服裝。至於5間連鎖服裝店咧，其中有2間服裝店咧回收嘅任何品牌嘅服裝或運動衣咧，只係自己嘅品牌。咁另外1間咧就係只係回收自己嘅品牌。餘下嘅2間咧，因為隸屬同一個母公司咧，只接受自家或者同公司品牌嘅衣物。此外，無論係非牟利組織或者連鎖服裝店，一般都唔接收內衣褲或者襪呢啲咁嘅貼身物品。泳衣啦、制服啦、帶標籤嘅或者標誌嘅團體服裝上衣咧都唔收嘅。消委會建議咧，消費者捐贈衣物嘅時候咧，應該先瀏覽相關回收機構嘅網頁或者社交媒體專頁。喺準備呢個捐衣物嘅時候咧，先要清楚回收呢個機構嘅要求同埋資訊。咁係捐贈者需要注意咧，大多數嘅機構咧對於回收物品嘅新淨程度咧都有一定嘅要求。咁參與調查嘅回收機構之中咧，3間非牟利組織表明捐贈嘅物品咧需要達到80%或者8成新或者以上嘅。咁5間咧就係要求咧衣物咧係冇呢個破損或者污漬。另外4間咧對衣物嘅新淨程度咧就冇特定嘅要求。同時唔少嘅團體咧都反映曾喺衣物回收箱裏邊發現有污穢啦、污漬啦、發霉啦、發毛啦，或者係帶有濃烈異味嘅舊衣。咁消委會提醒咧，衞生惡劣嘅衣物咧，一旦放咗呢個密封嘅回收箱裏邊咧，有機會污染其他舊衣，甚至令到整個箱裏邊嘅衣物咧都冇辦法回收再用。咁唔單止咧有違個人捐贈嘅意志啦，亦都可能咧浪費咗其他捐贈者嘅心意。雖然大部分回收機構都會將舊衣消毒嘅，但係消費者咧切勿將回收箱當做垃圾箱，將你啲舊啊污糟嘅衫咧就擺咗落去。咁我哋一定要記住喺舊衣回收之前咧，最好將佢清洗乾淨，以確保衣物嘅衞生同埋清潔。咁有別於連鎖服裝店咧，調查中絕大部分非牟利組織都有提供上門回收舊衣嘅服務。但係佢嘅免費上門嘅條件咧，或者每袋回收物嘅收費咧，差異幾大下嘅。譬如4間機構咧要求捐贈者需要捐贈至少3袋，或者甚至最好咧係超過10袋嘅衣物，先係可以獲得免費上門回收服務。如果捐贈嘅物品咧未能夠達到呢個相關數量咧，有機會會收取200蚊嘅收費，以支持佢嘅社會同埋人道嘅服務。另一個例子就係有機構要求每箱衣物嘅回收費咧係500蚊，咁每次上門回收嘅衣量咧至少需要達到3箱，咁即係話最低消費咧係1500蚊。另外，消費者咧喺計算舊衣袋數量嘅時候咧，需要注意唔同機構對於1袋個定義咧係唔同嘅。消委會咧係建議消費者喺使用相關服務嘅時候咧，需要先了解唔同機構嘅衣袋嘅參考尺寸啦。同時，如果上門地點比較偏僻，缺乏適當嘅停車位啦，或者道路欠佳咧，即係情況欠佳啦，回收機構可以視乎實際情況咧，決定係咪提供上門回收服務。咁喺新冠疫情反覆呢個期間咧，近年衣物回收服務咧亦都受到影響嘅。咁調查發現咧，當疫情嚴峻嘅時候咧，有10間有設置舊衣回收箱或者回收點嘅受訪機構當中咧，有4間非牟利組織咧係停止咗所有或者個別嘅相關服務。咁1間連鎖服裝店咧建議消費者咧暫停咧係到門市捐贈添。至於5間有提供上門回收服務嘅非牟利機構咧，其中有4間係暫停上門回收。相反，有4間機構咧聲稱唔論任何疫情點樣，佢從來未暫停過任何回收嘅服務。咁所以關於呢個回收咧，衣物咧係好事嚟嘅，可以保護環境，但係我哋都需要注意嘅。不同機構嘅回收準則咧，其實係會唔同嘅。 咁通常回收準則咧就係衣物嘅新淨程度要達到80%新或者以上啦，咁冇任何嘅破損或者污跡啦。咁至於連鎖服裝店咧，回收要求咧有啲只係限於自家品牌或者同一個公司冇公司嘅品牌嘅產品啦，先至會接受回收，其他就唔回收嘅。咁通常咧有啲衣物係唔會回收嘅，譬如話內衣褲啦、襪啦、泳衣啦、制服啦、帶有標誌嘅團體嘅活動嘅上衣啦、皮草啦、鞋履啦、嬰幼兒服裝啦、床上用品啦、冬天衣物都唔係全年收嘅。咁然之後非牟利機構咧，佢有時會上門回收，但係上門回收咧係要達定一定嘅數量，甚至有時咧都會收錢。咁亦都睇呢個位置係點樣樣嘅。咁所以咧，當我哋回收嘅時候咧，係要注意一啲事情，所以一定唔可以因為可以回收咧，就不顧一切去買嘢。我哋一定要記住斷。咁所以咧，最好咧就係源頭減廢，理性消費。咁如果當我哋回收嘅時候咧，就一定要乾淨，唔好覺得嗰啲回收箱係垃圾箱嚟嘅。咁而另一個咧就我哋盡量延長個壽命啦，即係最好唔好買嗰啲時尚快嗰啲產品啦，好快用完啦，好快要丟啦。咁如果我哋真係冇辦法啦，咁我哋可以試用咧重用啦，或者修補，或者捐贈俾我哋其他嘅朋友。咁呢個咧就可以保護環境之外，你都可以減翻你哋嘅錢嘅。咁啊，舊衣回收。咁啊喺做舊衣回收嘅時候咧，我哋都希望再一次提醒消費者啦，記住當我哋回收之前咧，要將衣物咧係清洗乾淨，同埋用袋包好，妥善放喺回收箱或者去回收點。咁記住咧，我哋好多時回收呢啲產品咧，或者衣物咧係送去東南亞或者非洲呢啲地區，咁佢哋咧比較熱嘅，咁所以咧佢對於呢個御寒物品嘅要求咧係有限嘅啫。咁所以關於冬天嘅物品咧，我哋可以試下咧係轉送俾我哋啲朋友，只係剩餘嘅話咧先去回收嘅。咁啊記住咧，調查之中咧有過半數嘅非牟利機構咧會將啲回收嘅衣物咧係送到二手店或者攤檔裏邊義賣，或者任何環保活動之中咧亦都將佢分發或者交換嘅。咁所以消費者購買二手物品嘅時候咧，可以減少浪費啦，亦都可以支持可持續消費。咁我哋喺舊衣丟棄之前咧，我哋希望咧可以考慮咧係重複使用啦，或者修補啦，或者捐贈俾朋友嘅，咁盡量延期佢嘅壽命嘅啫。咁中文版裏邊咧最後篇文章咧就係關於電器嘅售後服務啦。咁呢都好多人關注嘅。咁家庭電器咧係日常生活之中咧必須嘅產品啦，尤其喺疫情之下咧，消費者長期咧係居家抗疫，咁家電嘅損耗咧機會係大增嘅。咁因此咧需要維修啦，甚至咧係就增購新產品。咁消費者委員會咧去年咧接獲涉及電器嘅投訴咧，唔單止躍升為全年投訴類別之冠，至到今年咧仍都未有回落嘅趨勢。消委會咧今年接獲咗大量涉及家電嘅投訴個案，包括唔同類型嘅爭議，例如送貨延誤啦、維修時間過長啦、維修零件缺貨啦，以至保養期計算方法等嘅爭拗。消委會喺理解喺疫情之下咧，全球各地均面對人手短缺、物流延誤、零件缺貨，以及咧係生產運輸受阻等問題。但係疫情已經遲咗2年多啦，商戶責無旁貸，理應喺新常態之下咧積極面對各種可能發生嘅情況。消委會敦促商戶咧，一方面要確保供應鏈同埋貨源嘅穩定性，並特別要評估清楚是否能在合理嘅時限裏邊提供貨物，先接受訂單。另一方面咧，商戶都應該提升咧加強售後服務，確保零件嘅貨源咧係充足，在合理嘅時間之內咧提供呢個維修服務。咁樣咧唔單止係增加客戶對呢個品牌嘅信心，同時咧亦都有助延長產品嘅使用壽命，支持可持續消費。商戶倘若唔能夠喺預定日期完成送貨或者維修咧，有責任第一時間咧通知消費者，同埋將送貨延誤較長嘅時候咧，容許取消交易同埋退款嘅選擇，以確保消費者嘅權益。咁我有兩個個案同大家分享嘅。咁第一個個案咧就關於維修吸塵機啦。咁投訴人咧購買咗 A 公司嘅直立式吸塵機，因為機件故障喺2021年10月中旬咧交予 A 公司嘅維修部要求維修。A 公司同投訴人講咧，就因為零件缺貨，需要收取維修費用550蚊。咁如果改用另一款零件作為替換嘅，咁投訴人咧唔同意收費啦，認為吸塵機仍喺保養期間 ，A 公司有責任咧提供合適嘅零件，唔應該收取客戶額外費用。咁3個月之後咧，喺投訴人追問維修狀況之下咧 ，A 公司突然就話吸塵機咧係涉及功能性嘅物理損毀，要求咧收取維修費用。但係按售後服務單上面嘅記錄咧，機身梗係有污跡同埋花痕嘅啫， 冇任何物理毀損嘅描述，因此投訴人咧唔接受 A 公司所講要加上維修，而且加上咧維修拖延咗3個多月啦。投訴人要求 A 公司咧就安排換機。投訴人期間多次同 A 公司交涉不果，就嚟消委會度咧求助。經過消委會調停之後咧 ，A 公司咧就同投訴人咧達成咗解決嘅共識，安排換機。但係 A 公司咧冇準時換機，消委會再次跟進之後咧，最終喺今年5月中旬咧先至完成換機，即係話歷時咧係長達咗7個月嘅。咁第二個個案咧就關於呢個無線充電器啦。咁投訴人喺 B 公司嘅網站咧購買咗無線充電器。充電嘅座啊，咁咧就訂單咧列明咧送貨要需要大約5個工作天。咁投訴人咧一直喺追蹤訂單嘅情況啦，但係2個月之後咧訂單仍然維持喺待出貨嘅狀態。咁職員亦都未有咧解釋送貨延期嘅原因，只係表示咧可以安排換貨或者退款，但係遲咧就未有回應。咁嘗試咧投訴亦都得唔到回覆。咁投訴人咧不滿呢個公司啦，就喺貨期延誤超過1個月之後咧，都冇主動解釋，亦都冇積極跟進，因此咧就向消委會投訴。經過消委會多次同埋 B 公司聯絡之後咧，終於咧喺2個月之後咧就獲得回覆啦，就解説咧係正係安排退款。但係由落單起計到現在咧已經達到咗半年嘅時間啦。咁所以消委會咧提醒消費者，無論係購買或者維修電器啦，應與商戶咧確認送貨日期、保養期同埋完成維修日期，以及退款條件或者替代方案，亦都要注意以下嘅事項。第一咧就購買前咧同商戶確認電器係咪有現貨。如果電器缺貨咧，或者係預計付貨期較長咧，消費者咧可以考慮係咪接受安排。如果緊急需要用嘅話咧，會否要找其他途徑嘅替代品或者其他途徑嘅選購呢個貨品。第二咧，如果計劃新舊電器無縫交接，要待確定電器到貨或者送貨係之後咧，方安排棄置嘅舊電器嘅。咁呢個咧就我今日所講嘅有關中文嘅5篇文章。Let me summarize the key finding of this 5 paper in English now. The first paper today is about face masks. As the COVID-19 pandemic has persisted for over 2 years, wearing a mask has become a daily anti-epidemic routine for the public under the new normal. The filtration efficacy, comfort level, design, and even the color are all key decision factors when consumers purchase face masks. After the 2 periods tests in 2017 and 2020, the Consumer Council once again tests 30 models of single-use, colored, patented face masks on the market. According to the test results, the average material filtration efficiency, BFE, and average particle filtration efficiency, PFE, of all models reached 90%, 95% or above, equivalent to reaching the level 1 requirement of the American Society for Testing and Materials, ASTM F2100 standard. However, despite all models being able to provide basic protection for the wearer in daily situations, over 60% were found to have at least one sample with a PFE lower than claimed, reflecting that manufacturers still had much room for improvement in maintaining the quality of their products. Besides, individual models show unsatisfactory performance in other test items. For example, the bioburden of 6 models exceeds the limit of colony-forming unit set by the European Union, EU. 2 models had an unsatisfactory performance in a test on resistance to penetration by synthetic blood. Some samples from 4 models had poorer breathability. While in the mask harness tension test, 7 models had at least one sample torn apart at a tension lower than the minimum requirement. Consumers should pay heed to the test result. Under the Consumer Goods Safety Ordinance, consumer goods must comply with the general safety requirements, meaning that relevant manufacturers, importers, and suppliers have the responsibility to ensure the consumer goods are reasonably safe. Otherwise, they might have committed an offense. If the product performance failed to comply with its claims, it might be in violation of the Trade Description Ordinance. Despite surgical masks generally being considered as medical devices, Hong Kong currently has no specific legislation that regulates the manufacture, import, export, sale, and use of medical devices. The Council advocates for heightening requirements for the quality of face masks, as well as strengthening regulations. Not only would this help prevent the transmission of COVID-19, it could also lower the health risk posed to health during influenza peak season each year. The test covered 30 models of single-use surgical masks of different colors and patterns, including 21 models of flat masks and 9 models of 3D masks, with an average retail price of $1.5 to $9.8 each. The test results show that the filtration efficiency of face masks is paramount. With reference to the ASTM F2100-19 requirements, the BFE and PFE must be at least 95% for level 1 and be at least 98% for both level 2 and 3. In a test for both the BFE and PFE, 5 samples from each model were tested. The test result revealed that 29 models had an outstanding performance with an average BFE of over 99%. However, one model labeled as ASTM Level 3 was found to have a BFE lower than claimed for all 5 test samples, ranging from 96.7% to 97.3%, only meeting the requirement of ASTM Level 1. In the PFE test, 80% performed satisfactorily with an average PFE of above 98%. Yet, 90 models had at least one amongst their 5 test samples found with a PFE lower than claimed. The model with the greatest discrepancy claimed to have a PFE of more than 99%, but the actual measured average PFE was only 95.3%. Another model with a claim of PFE of more than or equal to 99% was found with an average PFE of 96.06% in the test, amongst which one of its samples had a measured PFE of 94.48%, which was even lower than the ASTM Level 1 requirement of 95%, falling short of expectations. Besides, the actual measurement BFE and PFE of one model were both lower than claimed. The test on resistance to penetration by synthetic blood simulated the splashing of blood or body fluid onto the mask surface to assess the protection efficacy of the face mask. Despite the relatively lower chance of encountering splashed blood or body fluid in daily life, apart from certain occupations, this test will still serve as practical reference for the water resistance and leak resistance ability of face masks. 32 samples of each model were put to test under corresponding pressure in accordance with their claimed standard level. If more than 3 samples were penetrated by synthetic blood at the lowest pressure of 80 millimeter mercury, then model's performance would be rated as unsatisfactory. 63% completely passed the test with excellent performance. However, in the test of the lowest pressure, 2 models performed poorly with 7 and 26 samples penetrated by synthetic blood respectively, and thus only scored 1 point in the test item. During the pandemic, members of the public need to wear face masks for long hours, both at school and at work, to prevent infection or transmission of viruses. However, if the hygiene condition of the face mask itself is unsatisfactory, it might cause skin problems on face. The performance of the face mask model in the bioburden test varied considerably. 6 models had detected bioburden levels that exceed the limit of 30 colony-forming units per gram set out in the EU standard EN 14683-2019. Amongst these, the model found with the highest bioburden even had a value that exceeded the limit by over 6 times, showing worrisome hygiene condition. The comfort and breathability of face masks are also crucial. The test measured the difference in pressure in front of and behind the mask sample in order to evaluate the degree of breathability, which represents the level of comfort when breathing with a mask on. 80% were detected with a pressure difference of lower than 5.0 millimeter water cm square, while that of 4 models were even lower than 3.0 millimeter water per cm square for all test samples, indicating better comfort and breathability. Amongst the 4 models with a lower level of comfort of breathing, some or all samples were measured with a pressure difference of over 6.0 millimeter water per cm square, which did not meet the requirements of ASTM Level 2 and 3. Past tests have revealed disparate quality for the ear straps of face masks. In the current mask harness tension test, over 20% had at least one amongst the 4 test samples that was found to be lower than the lower limit of the national standard. Among them, 3 models even had all 4 test models torn apart at below 10 Newton, meaning that the ear strap could slap more easily. The Council urged manufacturers to promptly rectify these issues, as they lead to frequently changed face masks not only waste consumers' money, but also cause wastage. Face masks have become available in a wide variety of colors and patterns in recent years, allowing consumers to add a colorful touch to their daily life amidst the prolonged fight against the pandemic. In lieu of this, the Council also tested the model for carcinogenic azo dyes, so as to assess the safety of the dyes used in face masks. The result revealed that none of the models were detected with azo dyes and are safe for consumers to use. Additionally, the Council also reviewed the labeling information of the products. It was found that the labeling information and usage instructions for many models were not comprehensive enough. Despite the importance of reminding consumers to take safety precautions in the persistent fight against COVID-19, the Council urged manufacturers to improve the labeling information, such as including reminders for correct steps before and after wearing a face mask, as well as stating the appropriate disposal method, etc. Even while wearing face masks, consumers must not neglect other precautionary measures. They should always pay attention to personal and environmental hygiene and take note of the following. First, check that the face mask is well fitted with the face each time. This can be done by cupping both hands around the face mask and checking for gaps at the outside edges. Ensure that there's no air leak at the edges, near the eyes, and at the sides of the mask. If the wearer cannot attain a snug fit using the above measure, they could knot and tuck the elastic ear loops where they join the edge of the face mask. Then fold and tuck the excess material under the edge of the mask. Lastly, if the face mask still cannot fit the face closely, the wearer should consider wearing an additional cloth mask on top of the surgical mask. The second paper today is about cooking blenders. To cope with their hectic lifestyle, Hong Kong people favor a more convenient and efficient cooking routine. As such, cooking blenders have become a handy kitchen appliance for many people, as they could create a variety of delicious soup pastes and dishes by simply adding ingredients and selecting a preset cooking mode. In the Consumer Council test on the performance and safety of 12 cooking blender models on the market, it was revealed that both the blending and cooking performance vastly varied, with substantially disparity in terms of the food's smoothness, thickness, or fineness and evenness. 2 models even failed to completely blend the ingredients, showing disappointing performance. Generally speaking, mini blenders with a smaller capacity perform less satisfactorily. Besides, 5 models were found with various safety hazards, including excess temperature rise and insufficient insulation distance, posing potential risk to consumers. The 12 test models range from $529 to $4,670 in retail price. It had a higher rated maximum cooking capacity, that means around 1.75 liter to 2 liter, referred as traditional blenders thereafter, and feature more preset cooking mode, ranging from 6 to 83 modes. The remaining 4 models had lower rated maximum cooking capacity, around 0.35 liter to 0.5 liter, referred to as mini blenders. It's worth noting that the 3 models with the highest overall rating of 4.5 points, which range from $1,668 to $2,198 in price, slightly outperformed the highest priced model, which is $4,670, which was rated 4 points only. Once again, reflecting that the performance and price of a product do not always go hand in hand. An important feature of a cooking blender is whether it could produce an even and smooth soup paste, the quality of which is closely linked to its ability to blend food finely. However, the test revealed that the blending performance vastly varied amongst models. In the blending test conducted according to the standard, which include carrot, potatoes, onions, parsley, and water, etc., as the ingredients, The results showed that 5 traditional blenders received the highest rating of 5 points. On the other hand, the 4 mini blenders had mediocre performance, with 2 models receiving 3.5 points, whereas the other 2 failed to completely blend the ingredients and thus received only 1 point in this test item. Consumers are more concerned about the cooking performance for the soup paste. Based on the test result of making 5 different types of soup paste, including Western creamy soup, vegetable smoothie, soybean, and black sesame paste, the test model varied in performance for cooking different types of food, including thickness, evenness, smoothness, and texture. Taking Western creamy soup, for instance, over 90% could produce soups with a very creamy and smooth texture, thus received the highest rating of 5 points. However, the creamy soup made by one model was unsatisfactory in both the thickness and smoothness, and received 2.5 points only. Besides, the vegetable soup made by 4 models were either not thick enough or could not blend the vegetables evenly and finely, hence only received 3.5 points or less. The black sesame paste made by 3 models scored only 2.5 points due to the very coarse and unpleasant texture. This reflects that some models did not perform well for grinding very small ingredients such as sesame and rice. The model with a poorer overall performance was a mini blender, which received only 2.5 points for cooking both vegetable soups and black sesame paste. In terms of making drinks, traditional blenders perform better when making vegetable smoothies, whereas all mini blender and one model of traditional blender only show mediocre performance and receive 3.5 points or less. Furthermore, 2 of the most important factors for soybean is a smooth texture and being free from the distinct grassy scent. However, the soybean made by one model had more soybean skin residues, resulting in a coarser texture. Another 2 models had a shorter preset cooking time, and as a result, could not remove the grassy scent of soybean purely using the heat from friction. As such, users need to cook the soybeans in advance before blending and cooking the pre-cooked soybeans in the blender, making the process more complex, and thus, both models receive 3 points only. The Council reminds consumers that soybeans are more prone to lateral contaminants by Bacillus cereus. To prevent the growth of toxin, consumers should drink the soybean as soon as possible after cooking or store it properly in the fridge. Apart from the cooking performance, consumers should also pay heed to the safety when using cooking blenders. In the safety test, 5 models were found to have an insufficient insulation distance between the live part and the surface accessible by the user, posing potential safety risk. Among these, 2 mini blenders models did not even pass the temperature rise test, as they overheat in the event of blending a large quantity of food according to the safety standard. This caused the thermal protection to activate automatically, and the test could not be complete. While cooking, one model recorded a temperature rise of 58 K at the power cord connector, exceeding the standard limit of 45 K. So, when purchasing and using cooking blender, consumers should pay heed to the following. First, do not make purchasing decisions purely based on the product's claimed rotational speed. Carefully compare the different cooking capacity and functions, and select a suitable model based on the family size and cooking functions. Second, be careful of the sharp blade inside the blending cup when cleaning and putting ingredients in, so as to prevent injuries. Third, avoid touching the surface of the appliance during cooking, as the temperature may get quite high. Also, never let children touch or use the appliance alone. The third paper today is about anti-stretch mark products. One of the things pregnant women struggle with during pregnancy is the occurrence of stretch marks on their bellies that are difficult to disappear fully. This is why many pregnant women apply a wide range of anti-stretch mark products from the early stage of pregnancy until after giving birth. In this first ever test of 30 anti-stretch mark products for pregnant and postnatal women, the Consumer Council found that more than 40% were detected with fragrance allergens. In addition, 4 models were detected with potentially harmful substance, that means synthetic musk and or phthalates, which may increase the risk of fetal and infant exposure to potentially harmful substance through maternal transfer and breast milk. The Council reminds mothers who always have close contact with their newborn babies particularly those who are breastfeeding, that if they need to use anti-stretch mark products on their breast area, they should choose products that do not contain potentially harmful substance. The Council stresses that safety is a fundamental right of consumers. Prolonged exposure to anti-stretch mark products containing musk compounds, phthalates, and other potentially harmful substances may pose health risks to pregnant women, fetuses, and newborns. As such, the Council advises product suppliers to reduce the content of potentially harmful substances in their product as much as possible, or even eliminate the use of those ingredients altogether to strengthen and safeguard of the health of mothers, fetuses, and infants. The Council tests 30 models of anti-stretch mark products, including 12 anti-stretch mark oils and 18 anti-stretch mark creams. The EU cosmetics regulation lists 26 fragrances as fragrance allergens. None of the 30 models tests were detected with any of the fragrance allergens prohibited for use in cosmetic products in the EU, including hydroxyisohexane-free cyclohexane carboxylaldehyde, in short, HICC, and butyphenyl methylpropionyl, in short, BMHCA. However, more than 40% were detected with different types of and concentration of fragrance allergens, ranging from about 0.001% to 1.43%, with 11 models containing higher total amount of fragrance allergens, ranging from 0.11% to 1.43%. Amongst the 14 models, over 40% were detected with 3 or more types of fragrance allergens, with one model having as many as 9 types, while 2 models were also detected with 5 and 7 types respectively. Some test models were detected with fragrance allergens such as limonene, linalool oil, and geranol. The Council reminds consumers that although these substances are not highly allergenic, when they come into contact with air, higher potency allergenic substance could be formed through oxidation, which may increase the risk for the development of skin allergy. Consumers should be aware that certain models with relatively high amount of fragrance allergens were packed in jars, suggesting that consumers should tighten the lid as soon as possible after use to minimize oxidation due to exposure to air. Consumers should watch out for allergic reactions such as redness, itchiness, and scaling after using the product for a certain period of time. As for serious cases, medical attention may be sought as soon as possible. Synthetic masks are used in a wide range of consumer products as they may help and enhance the scent of other fragrances. However, studies have revealed that glycerol, in short HHPE, and tonalide, AHTN, showed weakly estrogenic properties in human cellular assays. Animal studies have shown that high doses of AHTN might cause liver damage in experimental animals. In the test, 3 models were detected with various concentrations of HHCB, and the model detected with the highest amount were also found to contain AHTN. In addition, trace amount of phthalates were detected in 2 models, namely diisononyl phthalate, in short DINP, and diethyl phthalate, DEP, as 8 and 20 ppm respectively. The presence of phthalates in the product could be attributed to the release from the plastic materials that come into contact with them during manufacturing and storage. DEP can be used as fragrance carrier, while DINP is a high molecular weight phthalate commonly added to polyvinyl chloride, PVC, to soften the plastic materials. Animal studies have shown that repeated oral consumption of high doses of DINP might affect the liver and kidney of rats. There is currently no maximum allowable limit for the use of certain phthalates, like DEP and DINP, and synthetic mask compound, HHCB and AHTN, in cosmetic products in the mainland and Europe, while their long-term effect also requires further research to be confirmed. However, as unborn babies or infants are repeatedly exposed to these compounds since their early life stage while maternal transfers, added to the fact that their metabolism is not fully developed, parents should pay heed when choosing skincare products for themselves and their babies. In addition, if pregnant women ingest excess vitamin A, it may increase the risk of congenital disabilities in the baby. Besides ingesting food and supplements, frequent application of vitamin A-based medication on the skin may cause increased overall intake, One model was detected with retinol palmitate at a concentration of 84 ppm. Although the detected amount complied with the maximum concentration recommended for baby body lotions by the European Scientific Committee on Consumer Safety, which was unlikely to pose a health risk, the Council does not recommend applying products containing vitamin A or its derivatives on infants, and that care should be taken when using them to avoid incidental injection. When the Council examined the ingredient list shown on product labels, 2 were found to contain mineral oil ingredients such as paraffinum liquidum or petroleum latum. With reference to the previous test on lip balms of the Council, the mineral oil substance MOSH, MOSH, mineral oil saturated hydrocarbon, and MOH, mineral oil aromatic hydrocarbons, were commonly detected in products containing mineral oil ingredients. Some of these substances have the potential to be accumulated in the body if swallowed, and some are potentially carcinogenic. Therefore, consumers are advised to avoid using products containing mineral oil ingredients in the breast areas to avoid ingestion by infants through breastfeeding. On the other hand, the Council found that some models have room for improvement in terms of the labeling of ingredients, display position, and the expiry date information, including 2 models with the ingredient list on the inner packaging, 2 models detected with comparatively high amount of fragrance allergen but not listed in the ingredient, and other 2 models with no information about the expiry date. Among the 26 models labeled with the usage period after opening, the expiry date actually varied considerably, ranging from 2 months to 36 months. Consumers should assess whether the product can be consumed within the specific period before purchasing to avoid wastage. When purchasing and using anti-scratch mark products, aside from reading the ingredient list and expiry date, consumers should be aware of the following. First, check if the product is applicable to wounds or scars after surgery, taking into account the product texture, skin condition, and seasonal factors. Second, if using product of different brand, consumers should pay heed to the ingredient and safety levels of different products. Third, consumers prone to allergic reaction to fragrances are advised to use products free of perfume and fragrance allergens. If allergy arises, consumers should stop using them immediately. Lastly, if mothers need to use the product on their breast during lactation, they should choose products that are free of synthetic musk and phthalates to avoid possible consumption of potentially harmful substances by infants. The full paper today is about clothing recycling services. With the relatively material abundance in Hong Kong, many consumers may have clothes that are rarely worn or even left untouched at the bottom of their wardrobes. In recent years, many organizations offer used clothing recycling services for consumers to donate their clothes to avoid wastage. The Consumer Council surveyed 11 organizations on the market that offer clothing recycling services and found that the clothing must meet certain criteria to be eligible for donation, including the clothing types, cleanliness conditions, and hygiene level. A minimum donation quantity is also applied for clothes to be collected door to door. Clothing recycling services can help to extend the lifespan of clothes and promote environmental protection. However, to achieve sustainable consumption, a more direct and effective way that donating clothing is to reduce waste at its source by shopping rationally according to the need rather than want, and refraining from purchasing large quantities of fast fashion garments that are cheap yet less durable and have short fashion trend cycles. The Council stressed that in order to achieve effective decluttering and detaching, consumers must start with decluttering by cutting out excessive or unnecessary consumption, and be aware of unconscious continuing to indulge in purchasing and hoarding clothes with recyclability as an excuse. In turn, stockpiling more clothes that require detaching. From May to June this year, the Council staff, posing as mystery shoppers, surveyed 11 organizations offering used clothes recycling schemes to consumers and revealed the details of different schemes through their websites, social media pages, retail outlets, and customer service hotlines. The survey covered 11 organizations, including 6 nonprofit organizations, NPOs, and 5 clothing chains. Among the NPOs, 4 were scheme managers of the Community Used Clothing Recycling Bank scheme implemented by the Home Affairs Department. Results show that the surveyed organizations each had different requirements for the types of clothing that could be recycled. Although that the clothing types accepted by the 6 MPOs were generally similar, including clothes, handbags, and backpacks. 5 of them specified that they would not accept genuine fur, infants and toddlers' clothing, bedding, etc. Certain organizations even state that they would not accept footwear and that the used clothing must be in season, while winter clothing might not be accepted all year round. As for the 5 clothing chains, only 2 would accept recycled clothing or sportwear from any brand. Another only accepted product of its own brand, while the other 2, which belong to the same parent company, only accepted clothing of their own and associate brand. In addition, both MPOs and clothing chains generally would not accept undergarments, such as underwear and socks, swimwear, uniforms, group event tops with logos, etc. The Council recommends that consumers visit relevant organizations' websites or social media pages to clearly understand the latest recycling requirement information before donating clothing. Donors should note that most organizations have certain requirements regarding the cleanliness of the recycled items. Among the organizations surveyed, 3 MPOs indicated that donated items should at least 80% new. 5 required clothing to be free from tears and or stains, while 4 had no specific requirement on the condition of the clothing. At the same time, many organizations reported they had found stained, moldy, or odorless used clothing in the recycled bank. The Council reminds the consumer that once clothes of poor hygiene are placed into the sealed recycling banks, they might contaminate other used clothing and even render the whole container of clothes unrecyclable. Not only does this defeat the original purpose of the donation, but it might also waste the goodwill of other donors. Although most organizations would sterilize the used clothing, consumers should not treat recycling banks as a collection point for old and dirty clothes. Before the clothes are dropped off for recycling, they should be washed and cleaned to ensure cleanliness and hygiene. Unlike clothing chains, the vast majority of MPOs included in the survey offer door-to-door used clothes collection services. But the condition for free collection or the charge per bag of collected clothes differ considerably. For example, 4 organizations require minimum donation of 3 bags and up to over 10 bags for clothing to be eligible for free pick-up service. If the donation did not reach the relevant quantity, a fee of $200 would be charged by one of the organizations for supporting the social and humanitarian services. Clothing collection services have been impacted in recent years by the unstable COVID-19 situations. The survey revealed that when the pandemic was severe, out of 10 surveyed organizations with used clothes recycling banks or collection points, 4 MPOs would suspend all or certain collection services, and 1 clothing chain recommended consumers postpone donation to their stores. Among the 5 MPOs that provide door-to-door collection service, 4 would stop doing so. On the contrary, 4 claimed that they could not suspend any collection services due to pandemic. Consumers who are interested in donating clothing may wish to refer to the following. First, used clothes must be washed and wrapped in a bag before donation, and then properly dropped off at recycling banks or collection points. Second, many of the recycled clothes will be sent to the tropical regions such as Southeast Asia and Africa, where there are limited demand for warm clothing. Consumers can give their warm clothing to friends and relatives first and then send them for recycling if there's any surplus. Lastly, before discarding old clothing, consumers should consider whether they can be reused, repaired, or given to friends and relatives to prolong their lifespan as much as possible. The last paper today is about the after-sale services and maintenance of electrical appliances. Electrical appliances are a necessity in daily life, especially when consumers are spending more time at home during the pandemic. Electrical appliances are more likely to get worn out and require maintenance or even replacement. Complaints relating to electrical appliances received by the Consumer Council, being the highest among all categories last year, remain persistently high this year. The Council has received a large number of complaints relating to home appliances this year, covering various types of disputes, from late/long delivery prolonged maintenance time, shortage of replacement parts, or to the methodology in counting the warranty period. The Council understands the various issues arising from the pandemic, such as manpower shortage, delayed logistics, shortage of spare parts, and disrupted supply chain and transportation. However, as the pandemic has been ongoing for more than 2 years, traders have the responsibility to proactively tackle any possible issues that may arise under the new normal. The Council urged traders to ensure the stability of the supply chain and stock levels, and evaluate the ability to provide the products within a reasonable period before accepting orders. On the other hand, traders should enhance and strengthen their after-sales service by ensuring sufficient inventory or spare parts and providing a maintenance service within a reasonable time. Not only would this boost customer service confidence in their brand, but it could also providing the lifespan of the product and support sustainable consumption. In case where trader could not complete the delivery or maintenance as scheduled, they have the responsibility to inform customers in the first instance and offer cancellation and refund arrangement in the event of prolonged delay in delivery so as to protect the right of consumers. I call one case for you as a reference today. Vacuum cleaner maintenance. The companion purchased an outright vacuum cleaner from Company A. Due to its malfunction, the appliance was passed to Company A for maintenance in mid-October 2021. Company A informed the companion that a maintenance charge of $550 for alternative spare parts was required due to lack of original parts. The companion disagreed with the charge since the vacuum cleaner was still under warranty and Company A should have the responsibility to provide suitable parts instead of charging its customer. Around 3 months later, upon the companion's follow-up inquiry on the maintenance progress, Company A suddenly stated that the vacuum cleaner had physical damage that affect its functionality and thus demand a maintenance fee. However, as the maintenance receipt only stated that there were stains and scratches on the vacuum cleaner without mentioning any physical damage, the companion did not accept Company A's claims. Besides, as the maintenance has been delayed for over 3 months, the companion requests a product exchange from Company A. After failing repeatedly to resolve the matter with Company A, the companion sought assistance from the Council. After the Council conciliation, Company A notified the Council that they had reached a resolution with the companion to exchange the vacuum cleaner. However, Company A did not arrange the exchange as promised. The Consumer Council followed up on the complaint case against, and eventually the exchange was completed in mid-May this year, meaning that the whole incident had dragged on for 7 months. So the Council would like to remind consumers that whenever consumers purchase or repair their electrical appliances, they should confirm with traders on the delivery day, warranty period, maintenance completion date, as well as the refund policy and alternative arrangement. They should also pay heed to the following 2 items. 1, confirm with traders whether the product is in stock before purchase. If the product is out of stock or a long delivery time is expected, consumers should consider if they would accept the arrangement or purchase the product through other channels in case they are urgently in need of the product. Second, to ensure a seamless transition between the old and new electrical appliance, consumers should arrange for disposal of the old appliance after confirming the arrival or delivery day of the new appliance. And this is all for today. And now is the Q&A.
唔該晒譚教授。咁首先呢，我哋係會係口罩嘅問題先嘅。咁第一條呢，就係嚟自香港電台嘅問題。咁部分口罩呢，含菌量就超出歐盟嘅標準。咁想問下呢個情況係咪嚴重？有冇啲咩風險嘅呢？
咁咧當然口罩嘅含菌量高於歐盟標準咧係十分之唔理想啦。咁因為我哋口罩咧其實貼身用品嚟㗎嘛，亦都長遠要戴啦，長時間可能要戴幾個鐘頭或者差唔多成日。咁所以如果有細菌咧，咁我哋就會覺得對我哋嘅皮膚咧會有好嚴重嘅影響啦。咁所以咧就唔應該呢個含菌量係超於歐盟嘅標準。咁呢個衞生情況咧係令我哋關注嘅，尤其是有一啲咧係其實有一個樣本嘅型號咧，佢標出嘅標準係超出歐盟嘅標準6倍嘅，即係含菌量咧係超過200個菌落嘅總數嘅。咁所以咧我就覺得咧呢個係嗰個生產商咧係應該注意咧係保持呢個產品嘅質素啦，同埋呢個含菌量咧係唔應該超標嘅。
喺呢
度補充一點啦，就係若果係含菌量比較高啲嗰啲樣本咧，就一啲嗰個免疫能力比較弱嘅人士咧，譬如話啲長者啊，或者係長期病患啊，或者係孕婦咧呢啲人士咧，可能就要小心啲啦，因為除咗話皮膚嗰個問題嚟講咧，因為佢哋嗰個可能嗰個免疫能力比較低啲，咁如果嗰個菌係會比較高，特別係而家我哋睇到咧就係超過1倍或者去到6倍。呢一個數目咧，咁所以係呢一類嘅人士咧，可能就要小心少少。
咁就住呢個含菌量超標呢個情況咧，消委會會唔會建議政府喺規管外科口罩方面有啲咩嘢做咧？
好嗱，因為咧關於含菌量嘅規管咧，應該係屬於消費品安全條例嘅範圍嚟嘅。咁呢個消費品咧，包括口罩啦，一定要符合一般嘅安全規定。即係話相關製造商啦、進口商同埋供應商咧，都要確保咧佢嘅消費品咧達到合理嘅安全程度嘅。咁所以呢個細菌量咧係超過歐盟標準啦，即係有機會咧係唔達到呢個安全程度而觸犯咗咧消費品安全條例啦。咁呢件事咧，我哋已經交咗俾呢個海關咧有跟進啦。咁其實咧，關於呢個市面嘅口罩含菌量高咧，其實海關經常有調查，都發現咗佢有好多時咧含菌量都高嘅。咁所以咧，我哋希望咧就係以後咧係要注意呢件事，亦都希望咧係政府作出相關嘅跟進啦。
可能要做多啲巡查。
In fact, the RTHK English channel also asked similar questions on this bioburden levels exceeding EU standards. Could you mind repeating the answers in English?
Okay, the bioburden test showed that the total bacterial count of some models exceeds the standard of the EU. And one of the model, the existence is actually 6 times of the EU standard. So it's very, very unsatisfactory and disappointing. And you remember that we need to wear masks for a long time, and in all cases almost. And they are so close to our face. Therefore, if they have the existence of the bacterial count, that means it's not hygienic and it's not safe. And they will affect our skin and may cause skin problem. And if a person is having the low immune system, or weak immune system, and therefore they need to pay extra attention on that, because that means they might be suffered by the bacterial contamination. And therefore, this is something that I think the government should pay attention to that. And actually, this is not a unique situation in our test. Actually, the Customs and Excise Department will do this survey from time to time and check the hygiene condition of the mask, the face mask. And they also find sometimes the bacterial count are actually over. And so that is why we have to pay attention on that. And we suggest the government will have more frequent patrol on and check the product hygienic condition of the bacterial number.
And what are the health risks of this issue?
I think for the bacterial count, it indicated that whether it's a contaminated or not. And therefore, if we wear the mask for a long time with the high bacterial count, it means they might have a skin, they may let you have a skin problem, especially if your body immune system is weak. And therefore, for example, like people like cancer patients or like pregnant women with a low immune system, and with the face mask they wear for a long time and have high bacterial count, then they have to pay extra attention on that because they might have bacterial contamination problem.
好，跟住落嚟咧係 Now TV 同埋鳳凰衛視都有問相同嘅問題嘅。咁有19款嘅口罩咧就發現咗 PFE 咧係低於聲稱嘅。咁呢一度有冇違反商品説明條例？消委會有啲咩意見俾生產商咧？
好啦，咁我哋咧就發現咗咧，其實真係有一啲咧係低於佢聲稱嘅標準啦。咁有啲咧係相差咗咧係有大概4.52嘅百分比嘅。咁即係話佢聲稱嘅可以達到好高啦，咁但係其實咧佢就達唔到呢個要求嘅。咁咧就我哋已經通知咗海關咧，就等海關咧作出相應嘅行動嘅。咁至於有冇超過呢個商品説明條例咧，就會睇下佢嘅虛假程度去到邊度啦。咁咧就究竟係差異有幾大啦？咁就唔可以咧就一概而論，咁就要逐個嘅商品去做到。咁同埋咧係商戶如果係欠缺實質嘅支持，要再虛假聲明咧，咁就有呢個罪行啦。咁但係就真係會根據佢嘅型號係點樣樣，同埋佢嘅差異係點樣樣啦。咁亦都有啲人咧就講啦，即係商戶亦都有回應咧，就係話有時咧點解佢個嗰粒 過濾率咧係低於佢聲稱咧。咁尤其是我哋話有一個樣本咧係聲稱係超過咗4.52%咁多嘅。咁佢就話咧，可能咧因為喺測試嘅結果嘅時候咧，由於高溫或者潮濕嘅天氣咧，令到嗰啲熔噴布啊裏邊嘅靜電流失咗，咁所以咧影響佢嗰個果粒過濾嘅效能。所以咧，咁即係話消費者當你買完啲口罩之後咧，其實都要儲存嘅時候咧，要睇下個儲存環境，咁就唔會影響口罩嘅質素。咁所以兩方面都有原因，可能係個生產商、製造商，亦都可能係佢嘅儲存運送過程嘅問題。
或者呢度補充一點咧，就係我哋會睇到咧，今次啲生產商咧，其實比起以前咧，佢哋嗰個聲稱係 ASTM 水平嗰個嘅係比較最高嗰個，因為 ASTM 即係嗰個標準上邊咧，就係有呢一個 Level 1、Level 2、Level 3啦。咁我哋睇翻以前嘅測試咧，咁可以話係聲稱 Level 1嘅樣本咧係會比較多啲，咁但係咧我哋睇到咧，即係當個社會對口罩嗰個質素嘅要求越嚟越高嗰陣時咧，咁亦都係啲生產商對自己嗰個嘅生產嗰個嘅質素係有信心嗰陣時，亦都係去到 Level 3咧，我哋睇到咧有成27款咧係今次係聲稱係 Level 3，咁有3款係 Level 2，咁所以咧喺就算你話係唔係觸犯商品説明條例都好啦嚇，因為我哋睇到今次都有12款咧。佢哋係根據佢哋嘅聲稱咧，可能就真係未如又根據我哋嘅測試嗰個結果啦，就係未必係就真係唔係到佢哋嗰個嘅聲稱。咁但係咧都係去到 Level 1，咁即係話咧喺嗰個保障市民嗰個嘅使用嗰個安全程度嚟講咧，都係有一定嘅保障嘅。咁但係因為大家聲稱到咁高嘅話咧，咁所以咧有一個好重要一點咧，就係嗰個嘅品質監控嗰方面咧，所有嘅廠商咧都真係要更加要做得好啊！嚇，就算喺今次裏面我哋睇到有啲樣本係爭啲啲嘅啫，咁但係若果你係爭啲啲嘅話，咁即係話個品質監控裏面咧可能唔夠穩定。咁若果係作為想係提供一個好嘅產品去俾消費者嘅使用嘅話咧，咁喺品質監控嗰度咧係明顯地有好多唔同嘅廠商咧都仲有空間可以去精益求精。特別係有菌落啦，又或者係啲 PFE 喺今次睇到咧嗰個嘅出隻嗰個結果咧係比佢哋嘅聲稱係比較個差異會比較大啲。
咁跟住落嚟咧係都係口罩嘅問題嚟嘅。《東方日報》就問咧消委會今年咧就已經收到253宗同口罩有關嘅投訴啦。咁係啲咩類型係同埋係有幾多係同品質有關嘅咧？
咁我哋喺用翻舊年同埋今年去睇先啦。如果係舊年嗱其實過去呢3年咧，由疫情開始到而家咧，都會睇到好大嘅轉變嘅。喺2020年嗰陣時咧，有成4486宗嘅投訴，去到2021年咧就跌到落去得翻203宗，咁直至到今年嘅7月，因為我哋年初係第5波啦，咁所以咧就有253宗。咁我哋係明顯地睇到咧，就最大嘅投訴咧，就係喺個送貨延誤嗰方面，因為好多消費者去買呢一個口罩嗰陣時咧，都係網購，但係個疫情咧，大家都已經深深地感受到咧，係會對送貨咧係受一個好大嘅影響，同埋喺2020年嗰陣時咧，係啱啱香港開始係有唔同嘅廠商去製造呢一個口罩咧，喺嗰個設計同埋準備嘅流程裏面係出現咗一個延誤嘅話咧，咁即係話亦都會令到啲貨咧去遲咗俾一啲客戶啦。咁而有關於貨品質素嗰方面嘅投訴咧，就喺2020年嗰陣時咧有成311宗。咁而去到2021年咧就已經跌咗好多啦，28宗。咁去到今年頭呢7個月咧都係38宗啫。咁即係話咧，消費者係對呢一個貨品質素呢一方面嗰個投訴咧係比以前係少咗嘅。咁當然亦都唔可以掉以輕心啦，因為口罩係一個可以話係保護大家嘅一個係抗疫嘅物資嚟嘅。咁所以咧就當我哋個本地嘅市場越嚟越成熟嘅時候，消費者嗰個訴求又或者係個期望咧，都係會比以前高。咁亦都係廠商都係應該要跟翻佢哋自己本身嗰個聲稱咧，就係去提供翻相應嗰個嘅產品嗰個嘅質素嘅。
口罩嘅問題咧，咁都有香港電台同埋南華早報都有問嘅，咁所以麻煩呢條題目可能係答完中文，跟住要答埋英文嘅。咁今次嘅測試同2017同埋2020年比較咧，有冇啲咩改善或者退步嘅地方，同埋有冇啲咩值得關注嘅新現象出現咗？
其實今次嘅測試咧，同2017同埋2020年比較咧，其實喺呢個PFE 同埋 BFE 咧，即係細菌過濾嘅效率同埋呢個嘅果粒過濾效率咧，其實都比上一次咧就係稍為有啲進步。咁亦都咧係其實雖然用咗顏色口罩或者圖案口罩咧，其實嗰個結果咧亦都係唔錯嘅，就比呢個一般嘅白色或者藍色或者綠色嘅口罩咧，其實都不遜色嘅。咁啊，所以今次嘅話咧，其實就係比上一次咧都係稍為好啲。正話我哋嘅總幹事講啦，其實今次測試好多人聲稱都係 level 2同埋 3嘅，上次咧反而好多 level 1。咁但係我哋今次仍然都發現咗一個問題係咩咧？好多時測試嘅結果咧，同佢聲稱咧就唔係好符合嘅。咁呢個第一個就係有少少咧，就係佢話自己係98%啊、99%，但係有啲樣品我哋測試出嚟咧，其實就唔達到呢個水平。雖然都可以達到 level 1，即係對我哋用嘅時候都係安全啦。咁但係作為消費者嚟講，我覺得一個最基本嘅權益咧，就係你話乜嘢咧，我可以攞到乜嘢嘅產品。咁所以咧，如果當佢嘅聲稱唔符合咧，其實係一定嘅問題嘅。咁啊，希望呢個咧就係會希望跟進啦。咁第二個亦都發現咗咧，今次都發現咗咧，其實都有細菌呢個問題啦，即係嗰個唔係好安全喺衞生上邊啦。咁亦都發現有1-2個樣本咧，其實佢嗰個防水防滲能力咧就唔係好理想嘅。正如我哋做呢個血液測試嘅時候咧，咁有啲咧啲血都會過嚟我哋嘅身上，即係去到個口嗰度啦。咁再加上咧，亦都有一啲咧個耳帶咧都係容易斷嘅。咁所以即係話咧，你好多時戴下之後咧，或者一拎咁啊斷咗，咁你去換啦。咁呢個就係製造好多嘅唔方便。咁所以即係縱然今次咧，我哋都覺得都相對喺嗰個安全度咧係理想，亦都覺得有少少嘅進步。咁但係咧就係仍然都有要改善嘅地方。咁有一個咧就係因為依家出咗嗰啲咧就係顏色同埋圖案口罩啦。咁呢個都可以理解，因為真係好苦悶啊！即係2年多都戴住口罩，咁都希望有多啲嘅色彩同埋生活上開心啲啦。咁所以呢個圖案同埋有色嘅口罩咧都好受歡迎。咁嘅好處咧，我哋今次測驗咗呢個偶氮染料咧係冇驗出呢啲咁嘅物質，咁所以即係話咧係相對都係安全，而且佢哋嘅功效或者效能咧亦都同呢個單色口罩咧其實係不相伯仲，亦都唔會差啲嘅。咁所以呢個咧大家咧可以喺開心之餘咧可以買呢啲顏色口罩嚟戴都冇所謂。
有關呢個顏色同埋白色口罩嘅問題咧，其實英文台 RTHK 英文台都有問到，咁請用英文即係再複述一次啊。
Okay, this test is mainly on the colorful or the one with patterns face mask. And then this time we test these 30 models in terms of the performance. That means the BFE, the bacterial filtration efficiency, and the PFE, the average particle filtration efficiency of this colorful mask is actually more or less comparable to that with the single colored mask. That means it is actually useful or safe to use this colorful mask. More else, because it's color, that's why we also test the azo dye, the content of the azo dye, and see whether this azo dye is actually on the mask and will penetrate it and affect our health. And it's fortunately none of these samples or these models show any problem of the azo dye. We could not detect the azo dye. Therefore, it is actually safe to use the colorful mask. Of course, the cost is another consideration because normally the colorful mask is actually more expensive than the single-colored surgical mask.
But there's one reminder is that because there's so many products in the market, very colorful, different designs that can really match with your clothes and can be very trendy. But one thing to remind is don't over-consume, over-purchase. Reasons being is there's still expiry date for your face mask, although the expiry date usually is quite long, but over-consumption of face masks is still not environmentally friendly, especially if it is too many boxes, at home. So we still have to maintain maintain your rationality, making sure that you have enough good face masks to support your need, but don't over-consume just for the environmental sake as well.
One last question about masks from the English channel View TV. What are the recommendations from Consumer Council in terms of regulating masks?
Okay, first we must say that the claim from the manufacturer and what we test should be the same. Therefore, if our test result differ from the claim of the manufacturer, that's something that need to pay attention on that. because I think consumer has the right to know what they claim is actually what we get. And that's number one. And otherwise, because you remember under the Consumer Goods Safety Ordinance, consumer goods must comply with the general safety requirement. Therefore, if we detected some bacterial contamination or something that is not good, that is something that we need to pass it to the manufacturer and to improve it. So the good should be reasonably safe. And we can see that there's one product, the bacterial content is actually quite high. It's 6 times higher than the EU standard. And therefore, that is more or less not compiled with the reasonable safe regulation on that. And therefore, we think that it's important the government should actually look at this issue. And then at the moment, because this is surgical mask, they have no special regulation on that or specific legislation on that. Therefore, we actually think the government should consider whether there's needed to have specific regulation to regulate the manufacturing, import, sale, export, sale, and use of the medical devices. And then we also think that they should strengthen or heightening the requirement for quality of face masks and strengthening the regulation because we should not detect any bacterial contamination on the face mask. And all the performance they claim should be as they claim. But unfortunately, this time it's not all of them fulfill the claim.
Sorry, the SCMP would like you to repeat the answers to the comparative test with 2017 and 2020 in English again.
Okay, now remember in 2020, 2011, the 2020 we did 30 samples, 30 models, and then 2017 we do 29 models. And this time we also do 30 models. But actually in the last 2 times, because there's not so many level 3, so in 2017 we only got 1 model is level 3 ASTM standard, and then in 2020 we have 2 models. While in 2022 we have actually 27 models called level 3 ASTM standard, while we have none on the level 1. So you can see, while in the other 2 years they have more of the level 1. And so this is the difference in the test. And also this time, all the 30 models are actually a colorful or patterned face mask. While in the past, it's not that many of the colorful, or most of them are single-colored face masks. And in terms of the BFE and PFE, the performance, the difference between this time and the last time is not actually that significantly different. And for example, the high-risk BFE percentage is 99.9% average this time, and same as in 2020 and 2017. Of course, the low-risk average, which is better this time, we have 97% for the lowest average BFE, while in 2017, just the beginning, it's only 60%, while in 2020, it's only 96%. And this trend is same as the PFE. So that means this time, the minimum PFE average and the high-risk PFE average is actually, for the lowest one, the minimum, they are higher than 2020 and 2017, while the high-risk average is comparable to 2020 and 2017. And so, for the difference between the claimed and what we test, and this time we actually got more model. They do not fulfill the claim, and we find that difference between what we test result and claim. And that is the difference.
Probably overall, we can say that for those face masks that manufacturing locally, which is the majority of the samples that we have this time, the overall quality is fairly good in terms of the PFE and also the BFE. But as we repeat a few times, it's really about the quality control of the manufacturers. With all the very high claim of level 3, if your product, some of them marginally cannot meet that, or some of them is below the requirements of 98%, that would create problem in your claim. So probably the quality control side, the traders really have to improve. And also in terms of from the regulatory side, apart from the accuracy of the claim, probably more guidance about the requirements of the standards for different face masks would be useful for the trade as well to follow. So probably this will be the direction, because overseas there are different ways to regulate the face mask that require a lot more in-depth study on that.
跟住落嚟，我哋係去到攪拌機嘅問題嘅。咁 Now TV 就問呢，有兩款嘅攪拌機咧就未能夠完全攪碎食材，咁呢度有冇違反到商品説明條例嘅咧？
呢個係未必係啊，因為咧其實你要知道咧，佢要違反商品説明條例咧，佢一定係要好清楚話佢個商品有咩嘢啦，然之後你達唔到咩嘢啦，咁先可以算係違反商品條例㗎。咁依家今次我哋嘅烹調攪拌機咧，攪拌食物只係其中一個功能嚟嘅，咁佢就有好多其他嘅功能㗎，譬如有啲會叫自己係養生機啦，所以咧當佢唔能夠完全攪碎啲食物嘅時候咧，其實未必係真係完全觸犯咗呢個商品説明條例嘅，咁所以咧呢個就比較難以説明啦。
喺今次嘅測試裏面咧，係我哋呢12款咧，因為我哋都係測試咗5款唔同嘅湯品啦，我哋話叫湯糊啦，西式濃湯、雜菜湯、蔬菜沙冰、豆漿同埋芝麻糊，但係好有趣地咧，唔同樣本咧，即係各有千秋嘅佢哋嗰個強項。有啲西式濃湯就大家都唔錯，除咗一款之外，但係其他嗰啲嘅湯品咧，就有啲就豆漿叻，有啲係芝麻糊好，但係有啲係豆漿芝麻糊唔係幾得，咁所以咧就真係好視乎消費者你自己本身嗰個飲食習慣，你想用下嚟整啲乜嘢比較多啲啦。所以咧就今次呢兩個樣本咧都睇到佢有其他嘅湯品嗰度咧係做得唔錯。但係亦都有啲係要打得好碎嗰啲咧，譬如話芝麻糊啊等等咧，係會比較弱啲，咁所以真係好視乎大家嗰個飲食習慣。
A question from the RTHK English channel regarding the cooking blenders with safety hazards. What are the risks associated, and is there a need to recall these products?
For this blending product, the main safety issue is about two things, as far as I remember. One is insufficient insulation distance between the live part and the surface accessible by the users. Therefore, that means it poses potential safety risk. And the other safety issue is related to the thermal protection. Because when you have there are two mini blender models that did not even pass the temperature rise test, as they overheat in the event of blending a large quantity of food according to safety standard. Therefore, that means when you have this sudden rise of the temperature and you cannot control the temperature rise, the thermal protection device will be automatically turned on and activate. And so we cannot even complete the test. Therefore, we say this probably is a safety issue because if the heat is increasing, the temperature is increasing, and so it might cause problem if you accidentally touch the blender, or if the heat continue rise, it might cause more serious problems. And so we actually recorded one model have a temperature rise of 58 K. K means 1 degree Celsius at the power cord connector. That means the standard of the safety limit is 45 K. So this particular model, they have 13 K or 13 degrees Celsius higher than the safety standard. So when you have high temperature, you know the problem. So that's the two major issues. But whether you need to recall back, according to the government, they say if you use it under normal situation, that might not be the problem. But if you hear any strange noise, or if you feel the heat is continue rising, you better stop using it. Okay. So at the moment, I think it's still safe to use it, but if this model, you have to pay extra attention on what happened when you're using it for cooking and blending.
Especially when the kids, don't let them to touch the cooking blender in case it is when it's using.
One last question from RTHK. In general, what should consumers pay attention to when purchasing and using these cooking blenders?
Okay, it is very important when you try to purchase this device. You cannot just purely say the product claims rotational speed, because a lot of people will say you rotate faster, they will blend the food much better, finer, and so on. That's not the only one consideration. You should also consider that you have to compare different cooking capacity and functions. And also depends on your family size and how much you want to cook. And so you select a model that based on your family size and cooking function, in addition to the rotational speed. The second one is you must remember when you buy the device, when you clean it, it is most important, it is some very sharp blades inside the blending cup. Therefore, when you clean it, or when you put your ingredients there, you have to remember they have sharp knife inside or blade inside. Otherwise, you have to pay attention. Otherwise, you have to may get injury. And one more is as mentioned by our CE that the surface of the appliance during the cooking, sometimes the temperature may rise quite high. And so avoid children to use it or touch it on their own. And of course, it also depends on the size or the volume of the blender, and you are not recommended to put excess ingredients there to exceed the amount that is allowed in the blending cup. Otherwise, they might cause the problem is either the temperature increase continuously or the material or the ingredients are not being blended fine enough for your food.
The worst is overflow.
Oh, overflow, yes, the worst. Yes.
跟住落嚟咧係到抗妊娠紋嘅產品嘅問題嘅，咁Now TV 就問咧如果我只係將嗰啲產品用喺肚上邊咧，係咪會較少出現影響胎兒嘅機會咧？係咪盡量避免用喺胸部就已經得嘅咧？
好啦。咁咧就當然你唔係用喺胸部，如果你唔係 breastfeeding， 即係唔係用哺乳啦，咁咧餵哺乳啦，咁就會好啲啦。但係你要記住咧，因為 newborn baby 或者好啱啱出世嘅 BB 咧，你都會抱到好貼身嘅。其實咧佢都會係黐住你個肚啊或者其他部分咯。咁所以咧，當你有同 BB 有好密切嘅接觸嘅時候咧，咁你搽呢啲喺肚嘅位置咧，其實你要避免咧 BB 唔會接觸咧，係要好小心咯。咁當然你搽喺肚咧，會搽喺呢個乳房會好啲，因為乳房你真係做母乳餵哺啦，咁係 BB 咧真係可以經過你吸住嘅時候咧，係個口裏邊入到去嘅。咁其實呢啲有時呢啲產品咧，有時都會可以經呼吸入到去嘅。咁所以如果當 BB 同媽媽有好親密嘅接觸嘅時候咧，咁如果你搽好多喺個肚裏邊咧，我哋都唔知道 BB 會能夠接觸到幾多咯。咁所以如果小心起見咧，係應該係盡量咧係用一啲咧係唔含有呢啲有害物質嘅抗妊娠產品咧係會好啲。
當我哋檢視翻呢啲產品嗰個應用嗰個部位咧，其實唔係話真係淨係個肚嘅，有好多唔同嘅產品咧都話可以用喺你嘅手臂啦、胸部啦、你個臀部啦，甚至大髀啦，有啲甚至話可以局部用喺面度添。咁所以咧就唔係大家唔好有個錯誤嘅觀念，就係呢啲產品純粹係用喺肚嘅啫。其實身體好多唔同嘅地方，當佢出現咗呢個妊娠紋嗰陣時，又或者想防止呢個妊娠紋咧，啲孕婦咧因為都係大家愛美係天性嚟嘅，亦都唔想出現有呢啲紋，咁所以咧可能喺身體裏面有好多唔同嘅地方去應用。咁但係當你正如教授所講咧，當你攬住個 BB， 好多唔同嘅身體嘅部位係接觸到個 BB 嘅話咧，都可能會構成咗頭先我哋講呢一個潛在嘅風險。咁所以咧喺呢一度大家真係要留意翻，唔係話淨係唔搽喺嗰個肚嗰度咪得咯。呢一個我諗唔係一個正確嘅觀念啦。
另外咧就有問到咧今次嘅測試結果有冇顯示到係用油好啊，定還是用乳霜較好，會相對於比較少致敏反應咧？
其實咧油同埋乳霜咧係各有唔同嘅問題喺度㗎。咁譬如油咧，正如你正話講咧，可能就會多啲呢啲咁嘅礦物油啦。咁而礦物油咧，其實都係對身體唔係幾好㗎。咁咧，所以咧，如果你用油嘅話咧，就會有多啲嘅礦物油啦。咁所以咧但係咧就係佢含有嘅樣本咧，就驗出較多種嘅香料致敏物質。咁啊，相信同佢用嘅精油有關啦，所以除咗礦物油之外，亦都同佢用嘅精油有關啦。但係如果乳霜嘅話咧，我哋就驗出多啲咧人造麝香物質同埋塑化劑。咁即係話咧，油咧你就可能多啲油性，即係精油啊或者礦物油有關嘅嘢啦。而乳霜咧又多啲人造麝香同埋塑化劑嘅機會又大啲。咁所以咧就會真係視乎你嘅型號而去知道佢係咪含有呢個有毒物質或者有害物質嘅量係幾多，係同埋邊一種款。咁你要記得啦，我哋話俾你聽咧，有好多種唔同嘅有害物質，咁所以咧就會因應油同埋乳霜咧係唔同嘅。咁啊最好睇翻我哋選擇熱項裏邊咧係詳列咗咧每一個產品咧其實係有啲乜嘢好嘅物質，乜嘢唔好嘅物質。咁仲有一個咧就係如果好多孕婦或者有好多嘅婦女咧都會自行配搭唔同種類嘅抗妊娠紋產品，好似話有時用下油啊，有時用下乳霜啦。咁有時即係咁樣咧就要注意咧每一種嘅有害物質係乜嘢嘢。咁唔同嘅產品咧，佢嘅安全程度咧都有啲差異，佢哋有害物質都唔同嘅。咁所以當自己配製唔同嘅產品嘅時候咧，就要自己注意啦。咁譬如用嘅時候咧，如果真係發現開始皮膚有啲痕癢啊，或者紅腫啊，或者乜啦，咁或者唔係好舒服咧，最好就係即刻停用啦。然之後有需要嘅時候就睇醫生。
喺呢度要補充一點，就係啲孕婦啦嚇，當你哋去揀自己嗰啲嘅個人或者係俾 BB 用嘅一啲嘅呢啲譬如妊娠紋嘅產品，或者係一啲個人護理嘅用品都好啦嚇，其實真係要格外小心嘅。個原因就係因為呢一啲嘅有害物質，譬如話麝香咁先算啦嚇，其實係可以存在喺好多唔同嘅護理用品啦，又或者係一啲清潔劑嗰度嘅。咁所以若果當你去揀其他嘅產品嗰陣時，用品嗰陣時係用咗好多含有呢一啲嘅有害物質。加埋就係妊娠紋嘅產品係即係俾 BB 掂到嘅話咧，其實咧某程度上都係增加咗風險。所以作為孕婦又好，或者係媽咪係餵哺母乳期間咧，其實你點樣揀呢啲產品係應該要真係一個好簡單嘅建議，就係盡量一定要最好唔好揀有呢一啲嘅有害物質嘅產品。咁呢個係應該係最安全之策嚟嘅。
咁關於妊娠紋產品嘅一啲投訴啦，咁根據資料顯示咧，就截至7月為止咧，消委會就接到關於2宗有關呢啲產品嘅投訴，可唔可以分享一下原因係乜嘢？
其實咧呢2宗投訴咧，一宗咧就係有關於呢一個產品過期，懷疑佢係唔好意思，呢一個係懷疑佢係假貨，另外一個咧就係講係過期產品。咁因為咧懷疑假貨係因為嗰個消費者係不嬲都用開嗰個產品，咁佢跟住再買啦。咁但係當送貨送到嚟嗰陣時咧，喺嗰個質感又或者係佢嗰個顏色等等係同佢以往用嗰個係有出入嘅話咧，咁佢就有懷疑係呢一個假貨啦。咁而過期嘅產品咧就顧名思義咧，就係送到嚟嗰陣時咧都已經係過期啦。咁所以佢覺得咧係不合情理嘅。特別係嗰啲產品係一過期嘅話，都唔知係咪安全使用。咁所以咧消費者咧係作出相關嘅投訴嘅。
About this anti-stretch mark products, that is a question from SCMP. Regarding the products that contain fragrance allergens or potentially harmful substances, how regularly do women need to use in order to be considered harmful to their health, to their own health or their child's health?
Okay, because most of this product you have to use it at least twice a day, or some of them even say 3 times a day. And so actually you are using quite a lot in a day, and you have to use it for a duration of like a couple months. And some of them, they will use it actually very soon after they know they're pregnant, and they will continue using it even after birth for about 3 months or so on. So it's a kind of quite a long time usage of this product, and you have to frequently use it per day. So it depends on the product, and some of them, if they have a high concentration of these fragrance allergens, or they have more than one type of fragrance allergens, then you have to pay attention on that, because some model or some of the product, the total concentration is really high. And so at the moment, we still don't know the long-term effect of this fragrance allergen, and we don't know how much they will go into the baby or the newborn infant. And so that's why we have to advise, it is actually you have to pay extra attention when you're using this one, especially if you have close contact with the fetus or with the baby, or if you have a breastfeeding mother. And this is what we can advise.
And also the choice of other personal care products and also household cleaning products, you have to pay extra attention as well, because this kind of harmful substance, like musk, synthetic musk, also exist in personal care product, like perfume or maybe your own body lotion. So don't take it lightly, because for all the products that if you have all the different kind of harmful substance accumulated, that would increase your exposure to those risks. So mom and also pregnant woman, you have to be really extra cautious on choosing all these kind of different products.
Yeah, one more thing is, although some of the fragrance allergens, they might not be so highly allergenic, like limonene or linalool or geraniol, but actually this product, when they expose to air, they will be oxidized and become the product is actually the intermediate or the product from this oxidation reaction, they will be more allergenic substance. And so if you have this product used for a long time and open to air, you have to pay extra attention to the oxidation and the product of the oxidation. And this might be even more highly allergenic than the parent substance. So that's something you have to pay attention of using it. So that's why the expiry day and after you use it, you have to close the lid tightly is something very important for the mother when they use this product.
跟住落嚟咧係明報嘅問題嘅，咁有檢出香料致敏物嘅呢啲抗妊娠紋產品咧，如果俾嬰兒接觸，會唔會有機會增加咗呢啲嬰兒嘅皮膚過敏嘅風險嘅咧？
嗱，咁呢啲咧就係叫做呢個，如果呢啲物質咧係屬於有含有致敏性香料致敏物質嘅話，咁而大人咧接觸得多，其實都會對皮膚有影響。咁如果 BB 咧，其實個皮膚咧更加幼嫩嘅，咁所以咧對於皮膚嚟講咧係更加容易產生呢個過敏嘅反應嘅。咁但係咧因為有一啲香料本身咧過敏性比較低嘅，我哋正話都講啦。咁而有啲咧就係過敏性高，亦都會視乎咧睇你嘅濃度啦。咁亦都視乎你嘅品種係幾多啦。咁有啲咧係有成9種嘅致敏物質，咁有啲咧係有1種，咁所以呢個程度唔一樣。咁但係我哋會睇到，如果大人咧，我哋都好小心用呢啲咁嘅可以有香料致敏物質，咁用喺 BB 度或者 BB 有機會接觸到咧，係更加要小心啦。因為第一咧就 BB 咧其實係皮膚好幼嫩啦。第二咧，其實好多時咧呢啲BB 仔咧就係嗰個代謝啊，新陳代謝都仲喺度發展緊或者發育緊啦。咁所以有有害嘅物質啦，譬如我哋叫人造麝香啦，咁可能點樣影響佢個代謝過程咧，我哋真係都唔知道，因為依家喺呢方面嘅研究咧都比較少啊。咁但係所以我哋覺得更加因為唔知道咧，更加要審慎去用呢啲產品咯。咁啊，盡量用一啲咧係唔含有呢啲香料致敏物質嘅產品咧，會更加安全。
咁我哋去到舊衣回收嘅問題先。咁On TV 咧就問有啲時裝店咧喺倡議回收嘅同時咧，佢哋都會提供一啲回贈，即係譬如話優惠券啊咁樣吸引即係再購物啦。咁其實等同係鼓勵即係消費者去即係繼續買衫嘅。咁消委會對於呢一種做法咧點睇咧？社會可以點樣去鼓勵消費者咧支持衣物環保咧？
好啦，咁咧俾一啲鼓勵啲市民大眾咧去做呢個多啲回收咧，其實都唔係一件壞事嘅。咁市民大眾唔應該咧，因為有呢啲咁嘅獎勵啦，我哋就不斷買嘢啦，然之後咧不斷去回收。咁我哋都講啦，其實最緊要斷捨離。斷咧就喺源頭度咧，唔該你咧就唔好買咁多你唔係需要嘅嘢。所以你每一次買嘢之前咧，其實最緊要三思而後買。即係我哋成日話咧，我哋淨係買需要嘅嘢，就唔係想買我想要嘅嘢。第二咧就唔好覺得唔緊要啦，我呢個可以回收嘅，會俾人用嘅。其實呢個係一個唔好嘅想法。咁所以咧就最好咧就係話，我哋唔會因為有得回收或者有得鼓勵回收，而我哋咧就係買多咗產品。我哋一定要記住咧，我哋要支持環保、保護地球咧，係最緊要咧就係源頭減廢。咁所以咧好多時我哋都好多人嘅經驗咧，就係買啲衫咧就擺喺個櫃裏邊，可能着一次或者唔記得咗都冇着過，咁啊好嘥。第二個咧，因為依家網購好盛行啊，咁咧就同埋而家出現一啲咧所謂時尚快，咁咧就係好快嘅，咁然之後但係咧就唔襟用嘅，好快咧要抌嘅。咁即係話對於個產品嘅 lifespan， 我哋叫嘅生命週期咧就短。咁生命週期短嘅唔好處咧就係會令到你好多嘢抌出嚟咯，好多垃圾啦。咁所以咧就呢個係我哋從行為上面咧係要改變嘅，即係我哋要記住3個字就係斷捨離。咁斷咧係首要嚟嘅，就最好唔好買不需要嘅物品，就唔好因為話唔緊要啦，我回收啦，我都好好嘅環保。咁呢個咧就係唔係我哋想可持續消費嘅一個最正確嘅概念。
又或者一啲你哋喺屋企諗住係送俾人或者係抌嘅衫咧，其實咧可能都係佢有其他嘅用途嘅。咁你會唔會可以重新去重用佢或者去修理佢咧？咁呢一方面咧，大家都可以考慮，因為其實而家喺坊間咧已經多咗好多工作坊咧，就係教大家點樣可以將你啲舊衫咧去重整，係變為一個新衫，又或者有某一啲嘅物料可以嗌嚟係有其他嘅用途嘅，譬如話一啲舊嘅 T-shirt。可能佢係可以嗌嚟抹地啦，又或者係甚至係一啲家私嘅打蠟啦等等，都可能係用到呢一啲棉質嘅布料嘅。咁所以咧喺嗰個使用嗰方面咧，就大家亦都可以諗下有冇空間去重用，同埋學習多啲點樣去重用，同埋佢哋啲配件。如果係大家都係諗住去抌嘅話，可能有啲配件咧譬如啲鈕啊等等，可能你可以再用翻嘅，咁亦都唔需要浪費。咁大家只要花多啲心思嘅話咧，其實喺一啲你以為係抌嘅衫裏面，可能裏面都仲係有一啲嘅用途係可以用到啦。咁而當然啦，就係最好就係大家可以係正如頭先阿教授所講，就真係要理性咁樣去消費咯。
跟住我哋就係去到電器售後服務維修投訴方面嘅。咁想問下咧，今年消委會收到幾多宗關於電器嘅投訴，佔總投訴幾多個百分比係點咧？同埋嚟緊咧而家應該話而家咧就已經派咗消費券啦，咁會唔會預期咧呢一個投訴咧會有所上升嘅咧？
嗱，其實咧就過去嗰啲有關於電器嘅投訴咧，即係不斷咁樣上升緊。嗱，如果我哋睇翻喺2018年、19年嗰陣時咧，即係喺疫情之前啦嚇，咁就係大約每年平均係1800宗左右啦。咁但係明顯地咧，一步入呢一個疫情嘅年份嗰陣時咧，就一路係上升緊啦。咁喺2020年嗰陣時咧就2026宗，去到2021年咧就2578宗。咁而佔當年嗰個嘅投訴嗰個嘅比例咧，都係上升緊嘅。去年咧就去到9%，亦都係所有投訴嘅類別裡面最高嘅類別。咁而今年頭嗰7個月咧，真係唔樂觀啦，因為大家都係居家抗疫緊，同埋對個電器嗰個需求咧，或者個使用咧都會比較頻繁咧。咁已經去到1946宗，咁係佔咗喺所有投訴嘅比例嚟講咧，去到11%。咁所以咧，我哋都會睇到咧，喺電器呢一方面咧，個投訴咧係預計咧都係會不斷咁樣上升嘅。咁大家就會問啦，咁究竟乜嘢嘅電器嘅投訴會比較多啲啊？叮當碼頭頭嗰位咧就係呢一個電視機同埋冷氣機，咁而第3位咧就係洗衣機。咁呢3個咧都係超過1000宗嘅，電視同埋冷氣咧分別咧就係1491宗，同埋如果我而家係講緊呢個數字咧，係過去2018年去到2021年嗰個嘅數字嚇。咁樣係純2022年1月到7月咧，電視機咧就有203宗，冷氣機咧就217宗，洗衣機咧就185宗。咁而雪櫃咧就都去到124宗，吸塵機咧就好有趣地咧喺今年咧係飆升得比較緊要啲嘅。喺2020年嗰陣時，由96宗升到2021年嘅198宗，到去到2022年咧都已經升到162宗啦。咁所以咧就大家都會睇到咧係呢幾個電器咧嗰個嘅投訴咧係會比較多啲嘅。咁有剩嗰啲咧就譬如話大家常用嘅風扇啊、電熱水爐啊、抽油煙機啊、空氣清新機啊或者係微波爐咧，都係可以話係喺頭10位裡面嘅，由第5至到第10位。咁而最後想提一提嘅咧，就係網購相關嘅電器投訴啦。咁而係牽涉到網購嗰個百分比咧，我哋都會睇到係不斷上升嘅。因為以前咧就大家唔係好習慣去呢一個網上邊去買電器，咁但係而家咧就非常之習慣咧，可能喺網上邊睇完比較完之後咧，就已經喺網上落單。咁但係若果係送貨延誤，又或者係個貨品送到嚟之後出現咗好大嘅質素上面嘅差異嘅話咧，咁都係會引起投訴嘅。咁若果係今年頭嗰7個月咧，佔網購嘅百分比咧，就網購佔呢一個電器類別投訴嘅百分比咧，都已經係去到37%，咁所以唔可以輕視啊。因為舊年全年咧網購都係佔咗23%啫。咁而我哋再問埋嗰個成功調停率係幾多咧？咁我哋咧都唔錯嘅，比起我哋平均嗰個調停率係高嘅。咁過去嗰段時間，我哋成功調停嘅比率咧係75%，咁而一般嚟講咧都係66至66或者67咗緊，咁所以都會睇到咧，就電器商因為始終佢哋都係比較大啲嘅商戶啦，佢哋係願意調停嗰個嘅意願咧，都係會比較係高啲嘅。咁希望就算有電子消費券之後，都唔會因為咁而去上升啦。我哋過去喺舊年發放第一次嘅電子消費券嗰陣時咧。之前嗰個投訴係會比較高啲，但係去到時至今天咧，電子消費券嗰個投訴咧係相關嘅投訴都係已經少咗㗎啦。咁希望電器商咧亦都可以保持到呢一個咁好嘅記錄啦。
我想補充少少咧，就係喺電器投訴裏邊咧，其實投訴增加最多咧就係送貨延誤嘅。咁其實我哋正話都有個個案類似咁樣樣，就係因為依家疫情之後咧，真係有時啲貨咧係送唔到嚟，咁所以咧送貨延誤咧係提升咗好多好多。咁喺2021年嘅7月咧係103宗，但係2022年嘅7月428宗。咁所以即係話咧，我哋消費者買嘅時候咧，即係要問清楚嗰個鋪頭咧係有冇呢個貨品。如果冇呢個貨品要等，咁你要自己諗下，我等唔等得？如果我唔等得咧，你或者去下第二間鋪頭啦，或者買第二個產品。因為咧，我哋睇到咧送貨延誤咧係一個最多人去投訴嘅事情嚟嘅。咁亦都係我諗同疫情啊、物流啊都有關運輸。
A similar question from View TV English channel. How many complaints did you receive for electrical appliances, and how many of them were dealt successfully?
If we look at the complaint statistics in the last few years, obviously there's a rising trend. Reasons being is so many people stay at home, so the usage and also the demand for electrical appliances inevitably has to increase as well. So as a result of that, 2021 we received 2,578 cases, which is already 500 cases more than 2020. And in terms of the percentage of its share to the overall complaints we received for the whole year, from 2020 it is only 7%, but 1 year after 2021 it is already 9%. And for the first 7 months of this year, we received 1,946 cases already, and attribute to 11% of all the complaint cases that we received. So we can expect that because of everyone stay home to fight against the pandemic, the trend is on the upward side. In terms of the types of electrical appliances received the most complaint, if I used this year as an statistics, TV, air conditioner, washing machine, these are the top three. Followed by refrigerator, and interestingly is vacuum cleaner. The number of complaints has increased quite substantially as compared with previous years. Follow that on our top 10 list are fans, electric heater, electric cooker, and also air purifier, etc. So these are the electrical appliances that we received most complaint. You will also ask about the share of the online shopping, e-commerce, as compared with the past. We can also see there's a growing trend as well in terms of number of cases related to online purchase. From 2018, only 16%, all the way increased to 37% for the first 7 months of this year. So it seems implying to us that consumer is getting more and more used to buying electrical appliances online, and as a result, if there's anything wrong with the delivery, if there's anything wrong with the quality of product when it arrived, that would create a dispute.
我哋翻轉頭會有一條關於口罩嘅問題嘅，係明報嘅問題嚟嘅。咁就關於口罩嗰個含菌量嗰度啦，咁想問下咧，依個含菌量咧會唔會隨住時間而增加？即係譬如話，如果戴足一日咧，嗰個含菌量咧會唔會增加？會唔會有所增加咧？同埋我哋會消委會會建議市民一日要換幾多個口罩咧？
含菌量咧就我哋一測試咧就係嗰啲未用過啲口罩嘅含菌量嚟嘅。咁當然，如果你戴住個口罩，你睇下你會講幾多嘢啦，同埋你有幾多口水啊、水花會噴出嚟。咁亦都睇下你之前有冇食好多咩嘢啊，去咗邊度地方。咁所以我哋今次嘅測試結果咧，就係我哋係嗰啲未用過嘅口罩，係由個生產商度我哋喺市場買到嘅未開封嘅一啲口罩嘅含菌量。咁至於我哋戴完之後咧，當然一般嚟講含菌量都會多嘅，因為其實咧我哋係一路講嘢嘅時候，啲水花、啲口水咧，其實都會含有唔同嘅細菌嚟嘅。咁所以咧會幾耐？咁就視乎你每個人。如果我成日都唔講嘢，又唔食嘢，咁個口罩咧就應該個含菌量會細過我不斷喺度講嘢，或者不斷喺度食完嘢又戴翻，食完嘢又戴翻。咁所以咧好難話我哋一日要換幾多次。咁好多人一般嚟講咧，就可能即係睇下，同埋仲睇下你做咩工種啦。咁如果你工種馬喺度出汗啊，有好多嘢咧，咁就會需要勤啲換個口罩嘅。咁所以咧就好難俾一個標準話你可能一日換一次啦，咁好難，因為真係視乎你嘅生活習慣、你嘅工作方式。咁但係只不過咧就話，如果你發覺個口罩咧已經有少少污糟，又或者有濕濕地咧，咁都係個時候啦，考慮下咧就係要換個口罩啦。咁如果係乾咧，同埋如果你唔係好講嘢，唔係好講嘢啦，喺度做文件工作咧，其實咧我覺得你翻一次工戴一個口罩都即係一日戴一個口罩先換先 OK 咯。咁但係就真係視乎你個工作環境同埋你自己生活習慣。
同埋大家都要留意翻個儲存啦，同埋嗰個環境啦。因為如果你擺個口罩個儲存環境亦都唔理想嘅話咧，可能都因為咁咧喺空氣之中，大家知道有好多細菌，都可能會令到咧嗰個細菌係會增加。咁所以大家使用嗰陣時咧，雖然已經好習慣用口罩，但係都係要繼續要好小心咁樣用。
係啊，正話我都有講到咧，其實有啲生產商就話，製造商就話，其實我哋個口罩咧嗰粒滲透率咧，其實係啱㗎。我哋測試佢低啲咧，其實係因為可能係儲存嘅時候咧，由於潮濕同埋高溫天氣啦，會影響佢嗰個熔噴布裏邊嗰啲靜電能力嘅。咁所以即係話咧，如果你買翻嚟儲存得唔好咧，會影響咗嗰個熔噴布嗰個靜電嗰個能力咧，就會令到你嗰個滲透率咧會低於咧去聲稱嘅。咁所以儲存咧都係一個考慮。跟住就過期啦，咁因為咧都有啲人咧以前買咗好多口罩，咁所以呢個過期都係一個你要注意咧，係咪過期咯？
咁我諗消費者可能或者傳媒朋友好有興趣就係問啦，咁究竟我係咪應該要停用呢6款含菌過多嘅口罩咧？咁其實咧都好視乎好多唔同嘅因素嘅，因為若果你本身嘅抗疫能力係會 OK 嘅，係冇乜問題嘅話咧，同埋你啲膚質係冇乜問題，塊面嗰度咧亦都唔係話平時嘅皮膚冇乜問題嘅話咧，咁可能嗰個嘅擔心嘅程度咧就冇咁高嚇，亦都唔需要話即刻抌晒你而家嗰啲口罩。咁但係若果你個抗疫能力係比較低啲，正如頭先所講，譬如話啲孕婦啊，又或者係長期病患啊等等咧，呢啲問題加埋咧你啲皮膚自己本身咧已經係有啲問題，可能你已經有皮膚炎啊，又或者有好多粒粒啊等等。咁當然咧呢一啲嘅人士咧，我哋就會建議你就唔好佩戴呢一啲含菌量比較過高嘅一啲口罩嘅樣本啦。
好，咁今日最後一條問題咧，就翻去問關於抗妊娠紋嘅產品嘅。咁就係東方問到咧，就話而家本港以至外地咧，對於人造麝香有咩攝入標準，或者攝入幾多就會出現一啲唔同嘅反應咧？
嗱，如果我冇記錯咧，香港依家咧就人造麝香咧，好似冇呢個標準嘅，即係尤其是喺呢啲咁嘅消費品上邊啦。咁而咧係其實喺內地同埋歐盟咧，等我睇一睇先嚇。咁咧係有嘅，有啲有，有啲冇嘅。咁所以咧就會視乎咧就係你邊個國家同埋邊一種人造麝香。因為人造麝香咧係有好多種唔同嘅人造麝香㗎，譬如我哋要講有加樂麝香啦，有ถั่納麝香啦，咁係會有唔同嘅。咁所以咧就好難一概而論。咁但係起碼喺本港嚟講咧，我嘅記得咧係應該冇呢個對於人造麝香嘅一個指定嘅檢測嘅標準嘅。咁不過呢啲人造麝香有一啲咧係喺，而且我哋都冇喺人睇過有一啲實驗證明我哋究竟有幾毒啦或者幾害處，因為依家所有嘅證據咧都係喺實驗動物裏邊做嘅。咁所以我哋只係知道咧，如果高劑量嘅一啲人造麝香咧喺實驗動物裏邊咧係會影響個肝臟。咁但係對人有咩影響咧？其實依家嘅數據咧亦都不足以咧去評價出究竟有咩問題。咁但係如果對一個初生嬰兒 BB 啦或者係孕婦嚟講咧，咁係安全至上啦。咁所以我覺得唔值得有呢個風險咯。咁所以就最好揀一啲咧係冇呢啲有害物質嘅產品。
喺我哋今日記者會結束之前咧，咁係啦，總幹事咧有啲嘢同大家分享嘅。
好啦，咁大家如果有留意消委會嘅新聞嘅話咧，我哋喺今年新年嗰陣時咧，亦都係宣布咗啦，我哋第22屆消費權益新聞報導獎咧，裏面咧有好多新猷㗎。咁我哋咧就係喺過去嗰段時間咧，都收咗好多唔同嘅參賽作品。咁而當中咧就有2個嘅獎項嘅類別咧，就係新聞攝影獎同埋呢個大專院校新聞獎咧。咁我哋咧就係首次咧係試行咧係令到公眾有得參與，就係有呢個公眾投票嘅。咁而呢個公眾投票期咧就係由今日開始，就直到去9月4號，即係話3個禮拜嘅時間。咁係嗰個投票咧係非常之簡單嘅啫，只要去我哋個網嗰度啦，又或者係見到呢個 QR code 去射佢嘅話咧，咁樣咧就已經可以入到去咧就係投票噶啦。咁而咧如果大家參與呢個投票嘅話咧，都可以獎品攞到嘅喎。就係可以參加呢一個抽獎啦，咁亦都係有好豐富嘅獎品嘅。咁頭獎咧就係一個5000蚊嘅禮品卡，有1名；二獎咧就係500蚊嘅禮品卡，有2名。咁而三獎咧就係200蚊嘅禮品卡咧，就有20名嘅。咁所以大家咧千祈唔好錯過呢個參獎啦。咁大家都會好有興趣問啦，咁呢2個獎項嘅入圍作品係邊一啲咧？咁不如講下新聞攝影獎先啦。咁我哋咧就大家咧係要由5個最後嘅入圍作品咧就係去選出嚟嘅，就包括強檢捉迷藏頭條日報、逆風危蟬探親就係頭條日報。另外咧 SCMP 咧南華早報咧就 E-voucher plan omits some of needness。咁另外咧就港鐵甩車門咧就係 AM730組 topic 嘅港鐵屯馬線全線通車。 過百人清晨排隊等候座首班車。咁所以咧喺呢5幅嘅攝影裏邊，5幅相裏面，你嘅心水係邊幅咧？就你一票咧，就會影響咗佢哋呢一個最終究竟邊一個攞到呢一個金獎、銀獎同埋呢個銅獎啦。咁另外咧，學生們咧都係大家需要打氣嘅喎。咁中文大學咧有3個嘅入圍作品，就係合法大麻啦、價錢斬半、療程加快、光顧半自助式箍牙有何隱憂，同埋咧就係呢一個勝在有你教。咁而咧另外恒生大學傳播學院咧都有2個最後嘅入圍作品，就係網店牌照同埋呢一個無牌自動售賣機嘅食安風險。咁所以咧就大家想支持學生仔嘅係我哋啲同學們嘅話咧，就記得上去咧就幫佢哋投下你哋神聖嘅一票啦。
好，唔該晒總幹事。咁我哋今日嘅記者會咧就嚟到呢度結束啦，多謝晒咁多位。